Let's rock.
Why does it keep saying actual recording is higher quality? Why are they so insecure about this?
Welcome back to the shittiest
Hello.
podcast on the internet. Nerd
planet.
shit in the dark. Well, the planet and the internet, that's basically saying the same thing.
Yeah.
You think?
In the galaxy even?
No, that would be different. Galaxy would be
Yeah.
different. Because, I mean, the internet is just on Earth. It covers all of Earth. So by saying we're on the internet, you understand we're in the whole planet.
We're on the
Pakistan,
planet Earth.
remember?
That's right.
So, yeah, we are your hosts. Chase the Chaz Screepack.
And I am Braden the Brad Neilster. Happy to be back.
Oh, happy to have gotten started because fuck.
Yeah.
Just a little backstory here because I feel like if I would have recorded all of it, everything we just went through.
Yep.
But we were having some major technical difficulties.
Big surprise.
42 minutes, and yeah, big surprise.
Yep, we were supposed to start recording at 7. It's 7:42 before we finally got everything. And we still didn't figure everything out. We're just kind of rolling with what we have.
Yeah, hoping it's even working at all. We could get done with this, and it might be like, yeah, Braden's internet was too shitty, so we scrapped it. We scrapped the whole recording.
Yeah,
so,
you can't even listen to it.
Hard to say. I don't get paid to endorse any podcasting app, so I'm not going to say the name of the one that we're using. It's a very popular and well-known one. But, boy, has it been fucking with us tonight.
It rhymes with liver hide.
That's all we're going to say. Braden.
Jace.
How you been?
I was going to say how you been. You beat me to it.
I sure did.
I've been pretty good, enjoying Christmas vacation.
Your Christmas vacation is just ending, am I correct?
Yep.
That was a solid break.
We were crossing our fingers that we were going to get an extra day because there's a snowstorm in the area, and every other school around us has either closed down or has 2-hour delays, but our school is deciding that we're going to tough it out.
At least until morning, maybe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, we'll see. So yeah, I might get a longer extra day, but it's not looking hot so far.
I'm hoping the library closes, honestly. I love the fuck out of my job, but man, do I love when my job throws us a snow day because I'm like, cool, sick. Sora's already at his grandma's, you know what I mean? Like, I could just have a fucking home day.
We had a train day one day.
You guys rode trains?
No.
Oh, you listened to the band Train all day.
Yep.
At work.
Yep, and we got out of school to listen to Train.
Oh my god, dude, that is a dream come. That would be a dream come true for me personally.
No, we had a train day where the trains in the area were all being worked on, and it was shutting down the roads, and so certain kids couldn't get to school, and so they made it a remote learning day. So it was a train day.
Play that song, the one that makes her go all night long. It's a good train song.
What other songs did he do?
Oh, dude, Drops of Jupiter, one of my favorite fucking songs of all time.
Oh, wait. Oh, my favorite? Hey, soul sister, ain't that Mister on the radio?
Stereo, the way she moves ain't fair, you know.
Ain't fair, you know.
Yeah. Yep. They have some bangers. And honestly, in my mind, that's one of their, like, newer ones, I guess.
Are they still around? Are they still making music?
I think they are. I'm pretty sure. You hear like one come out every once in a while, and I'm like, oh, nice.
Yeah.
But oh boy, that's what I do. If I had to stay at home from school and go to school, I'd probably listen to Train all day. Yeah, that'd be a good way to spend it.
Especially if it was mandated. That was like the reason why you got out of school.
Right. Like you could you're like, I get to not come into work or school, but I can just sit at home and listen to Train all day. I'm still just at my
every day
in my pajamas. Yeah, I'll do that.
So tell me,
did you fall for a shooting star? God, that's one of my favorite songs of all time. Amber will be singing that at my wedding someday.
Nice.
Look forward to that. But that's not what we're here to talk about tonight. Braden.
Chaz.
Brad. we got some nerd shit to talk about. And
we certainly do.
The text you sent me last night has me all sorts of curious and excited for this coming episode.
Oh yeah.
So
don't get too excited. Don't raise your expectations that high.
That's fair. Hey, I just like to talk. I'll be honest. 2 of the 3 things I want to talk about tonight, I'm disappointed in.
Really?
So, yeah.
You did mention that you had a lot of negative things to say.
I did. One. I actually made sure.
It's going to be a shit talk episode.
A little bit. But I made sure to at least I covered a good thing today. To like have a positive. And I figured if we wanted, we could sneak in some quick Jurassic Park. Brayden and I watched Jurassic Park on New Year's this year, just a couple days ago. This is the first Nerd to the Dark of 2025. Just also wanted to add that in.
Jared was going to watch it with us, but Sora was crying a lot and he dipped.
He certainly did, which I don't blame him.
Just like our dads.
Yep. Yeah. But you stayed and we watched Jurassic Park, so I do want to touch on that, but we'll save that for like the end on a positive note. But
yeah,
I want you to tell me about some of your new nerd shit, Brain.
So
I look you in your
do you want me to...
beautiful eyes.
Yeah, so I'll jump right into my first big thing, which I've actually gotten back into reading recently.
Right. This is what I'm excited about.
Yeah, I go back and forth through reading phases where I'll go months and months and months without reading anything, and then if a series or a new book gets me excited, I can like read voraciously. Like I'm reading like over 100 pages a day on some of these books.
Love it.
So it's been nice, but I started and I'm currently in the middle of the 3rd book of Eragon.
Nice.
So what do you know about Eragon? Did you watch the movie?
Yeah, I've seen the fucking movie. I have all the books. I read the first 2 when I was in high school as they came out, and then I just own the other 2 or 3. No, there's 4, right? There's 4.
4, yeah.
Yeah. So I own the other 2.
4 main ones, and then I think he not that long ago put out a 5th one that's like a spin-off story.
Murtaugh, yeah, it is a spin-off. Yeah. We have that on the van. I haven't read that either, but I don't really count that in the main. But I've read 2 of the 4, but it's also been a fucking long time. And I've always meant to go back and reread through them.
Yeah. So my introduction to Eragon is pretty funny because I watched the movie when it came out in theaters.
Yeah.
And for those of you who may not know, because it's kind of been lost to pop culture, because it's not a good movie.
It's not a good movie, so it's just gone.
Yeah, it's not a good movie. It's not a good adaptation. People were very pissed about it. Like, it pretty much tanked the whole franchise. Like, they had sequels in the works that were nixed, and no one's talked about rebooting Eragon since.
Well, Disney Plus is actually supposed to be doing a series.
Yeah,
but it hasn't been. It's not done yet.
That's just, I would imagine a reboot's coming soon because it's been long enough and Hollywood's in their reboot phase, and they're going to eventually look at that one and be like, we can do it better.
I wouldn't even call that a reboot. That would just be like, okay, we made a mistake there. Like, we can just do this.
Most people don't even at this point remember that movie came out.
Oh, for sure.
But
for sure.
The funny thing was,
they announced it like 2 years ago, so it should be coming soon. Go ahead.
Yeah. The funny thing was, I loved that movie.
Oh.
I thought it was great.
You like the Avril Lavigne song?
Yep.
It's a damn cold night.
Yep.
That's so Eragon.
Totally
the
reminds me of...
Inheritance Cycle says that to me.
This semi-dark fantasy world.
Mm-hmm.
Just take it by the hand, take me somewhere
But like
new.
at the same time, dude, I don't know who you are, but
it really encapsulates Eragon's and Saphira's relationship.
Truly.
Yeah, no, I love that movie. I became obsessed with it. I was young, and this is why I love the movie, because I was probably like, I don't know when that movie came out. I was probably like 7.
I was gonna ask you. I was a freshman in high school, so I was 14 when the movie came out. So you would have been like 11 or 10.
I would have been like, no, you're
how old are you?
I'm 28.
You're 28 and I'm 32.
You're 4 years older than me.
Correct.
You would have been 14.
So you would have been like 10. 9 or 10.
We were just kids.
We were just kids.
Yeah. But 10-year-old little Braden did not have a barometer for quality.
Sure. No, yeah,
So,
I think that would be a
he
great kid movie for
He
sure.
fucking loved dragons. He loved the concept of getting your own dragon that you can ride and it becomes like your companion and you can hear each other's thoughts and you can do magic and like everyone thinks you're cool as fuck and wants to get you on their side. But yeah, I got the video game, played the video game a lot. The video game I remember being really fun. It's probably not.
I've never played it. I don't even know if I can picture it.
But yeah, I was obsessed, but this was still before I was like a confident reader, so I never picked up the books and always meant to.
You were 10, you mean?
I was 10. Those books looked way too big for me, and I also think I did try to read them at one point, but we got the wrong book, and I was 10, so I was stupid and didn't understand that it was not the first book in the series.
Yeah.
And so
you just hopped
I was
into
reading it.
Singer.
Yeah, I was hopping into it and it was just like no idea what was going on, like confused and like didn't make it past the first chapter and never went back to them. But we went to Barnes and Noble recently and saw that they were there, and I was like,
love
might
Barnes
as well.
and Noble.
Yeah.
You didn't invite me.
So we bought that along with an alien book written by this guy who used to work for the Defense Department and says that there's aliens and the government's lying about it. I haven't read that one yet. Kaylee's reading that one.
That's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, so I finished the first 2 books and love them. I've been plowing through. I got the last 3 books over Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's been a really fun time.
Isn't it just great when you just find a book that it's a series and you can just sink your fucking teeth into it?
Oh yeah, because it's like
you
don't even
3 books in
a
a couple
it's
weeks.
Like, pretty much as soon as I would finish a book, I would move on straight to the next one. Like not even
No, I hear
really
you, man.
pause for.
That's how fucking Wheel of Time has been for me. So I get it.
That's another one I need to get into, but I know that it's also a big commitment because there's a lot of books.
15. 14 in a prequel.
But I hear they're all great.
Oh, dude, I'm still digging them. But I, you know what? Knowing that you're reading through these, that might inspire me to take a break and read these real quick in between because they're much smaller books.
Yeah, and like they're about 500-600 pages books. Like some are closer to 700 maybe.
I think Eldest is like 732 pages. Don't quote me on that.
I think Eldest is 667.
Are you shitting me?
I
remember
so.
that being a much.
I just
book.
finished it not that long ago.
Yeah,
So
hardcover.
I have the last 2 are hardcover. The first 2 are paperback.
Yeah, I bet my bet is on the hardcover version of Eldest, 732 pages. I'm just gonna look real quick. Keep talking though.
But yeah, if you like high fantasy, it's not quite dark fantasy. Like it's definitely more. It's still situated more towards like teenagers. Like I would say 16, 17-year-olds though, like older teens, because there is some surprisingly graphic violence described in the books. Because majority of the books are very tame. Like it's not like George R.R. Martin where there's sex and rape and murder galore. Yeah. But there is a lot of violence and there is like implications to sex, but like it still kind of keeps it PG with that, where like it doesn't actually describe anything. And
correct.
For the most part, it reads like a YA book where like it's not super intense, but then every once in a while
we have it in our YA at the library. Yeah,
it'll just describe super graphic scenes of violence.
Absolutely.
Like they describe in this one, they come across this town that was
704.
Like pillaged.
Sorry.
704?
That's the hardcover edition in America. 704. I was close.
Yeah, mine's paperback, so
makes
it'd
sense.
Be smaller.
Something I know has 732 pages. I'll get it.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. But yeah, they come across this like village that was pillaged by this race of beings they're like the orc analog of this world. They're called Urgles, and they have like ram's horns and stuff, and they're like brutish creatures. But these Urgles raided this village, and he describes how like they go to the center, and there's just a big pile of bodies of all the villagers, and then in front of the pile of bodies is a baby speared on a spear that's being eaten by crows. And like the book was like pretty tame up until that point, and it just hits you with that, and I'm like, whoa,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like he does some hyper violent stuff. Like he can like, I don't know. Should I give like a general premise of what Eragon is?
Sure. Yes.
Yeah, it's about this boy named Eragon who stumbles across this rock in the mountains that he's not sure what it is. We find out earlier that it was teleported there by magic, and he assumes it's just like this dumb rock. He keeps it because he thinks he might be able to sell it. He's just like a simple farm boy. Time passes. It hatches into a dragon egg, which dragons were thought to be extinct from the land, besides the king, who is like evil, and everyone outwardly says that the king is evil. Like no one actually likes the king.
Galbatorix.
Yeah,
King.
He basically eradicated all of the dragons and their dragon riders, because in this one, dragons would make bonds with humans or elves and become dragon riders. But anyways, he thought he got all the dragons, but this one egg managed to escape. Eragon bonds with the dragon, like magically bonds with it, names her Saphira, and becomes a dragon rider, and has to embark on his hero's journey quest to essentially defeat the evil king. Pretty run-of-the-mill hero story stuff, but it's all very well executed.
Sure. I've heard the first book, Eragon, forever now. People have been saying it, and I agree. This isn't my call, but like, it's very Star Wars. It's very just the first Star Wars movie.
It's a hero's journey through and through.
Yeah, but even the things that happen in it are like, that's Star Wars. But they do it with dragons, and it's cool.
Star Wars with dragons, and like,
and that's just the first one. That's really just the first book. It changes.
And like the element of the dragons is like the important parts, like him being a dragon rider, what that means, and like what he can do. Because dragon riders are like magically better at pretty much everything that like regular people are. They are immortal, like semi-immortal, basically. Like they can still be killed, but if they aren't killed by anything, they can live for a super long time because they live as long as their dragons do, and the dragons can live pretty much eternally as long as the same thing, nothing kills them, hundreds of years. So that's why this king's such a big deal, because he can't die by regular means and has his own dragon. But yeah, he's like a wizard. He gets magical powers after this, and I think the whole magic system in this is pretty cool. Do you remember anything about the magic system?
Very, very little, to be honest. I mean, kind of. Like, I know Brissinger is like the fire spell. Or something like that.
It reminds me of Skyrim, where
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it's through language. Like basically, there's this ancient language that is magical. That is, if you speak a word of the ancient language, it's like the true name of that thing, and so you get power over it. And so, not like no one knows all of the ancient language because like it's been lost to time. But like,
ancient.
Yeah, it's ancient. But like a lot of wizards know a few words or like a few spells. And basically, yeah, it's just if you can learn this language, you can learn how to manipulate pretty much anything as long as you know the true name for it and do what you want. And the drawback is you can't do anything that would exceed your body's own energy, because anything you do with magic, it still takes the same amount of energy as if you were to do it by hand. So like if you were to, say, stop a boulder from falling onto you from like a great height, it would the spell would suck all the power out of your body and kill you, pretty much. So like you have to be smart with how you use magic.
Just let the boulder hit you.
But yeah, it's pretty cool. He like kills people. He can like shoot a pebble from his hand and like impale people through the head, and causes arrows to catch on fire and blow people's heads up and stuff. Like he does some pretty graphic stuff, and he's only like 16 when the story starts.
16, yeah, pretty sure.
Yeah,
he's rather young. And you know what? That's the thing. The second book, I'll tell you what, I don't think I remember almost anything from. The first one, I do remember it, but like not much of the magic systems really used a lot in the first one.
The second book has a really good twist that I definitely should have seen coming because it, laid the breadcrumbs and stuff. Like you could have figured it out if you thought a little bit about it.
But
But
sometimes that's okay.
yeah, and I was glad that I was surprised because, yeah, it was like a huge twist at the end. But the twist is basically why the book is called Eldest. And so, yeah, I won't give any spoilers away
Each
for
book
that.
kind of has, well, Eragon, but like they all have like there's a meaning to the name of each book.
Yeah, and what dragon is on the cover.
For sure.
Because there's a dragon on each cover of the 4 books. The first book is Saphira, the blue dragon. That is Eragon's dragon.
You've probably
And,
seen this cover.
yeah.
I feel like that cover's so, it was very popular when it came out, so people just know this book.
Oh, yeah. It's, like anyone who talks about Eragon, like they'll use that cover. Yeah, it's good. The bedrock of the story is him and Saphira's relationship, them learning and growing together. And it's also like a really big power fantasy where like you see, this farm boy become a S tier wizard and warrior. And because he's a dragon rider, like he picks things up a lot quicker than normal people would. So like he becomes an expert swordsman in like 6 months of training. And
he used to be able to bullseye womp rats on his T16 back home.
He did. It's pretty much what he was doing when he found the egg. He was hunting.
Exactly.
Because he's also very good with a bow and arrow.
You know what I'll say about Eragon series? The first movie, they kill the Razak like in the first fucking movie. There's a scene where they kill them, and it's just like, oh, well, they have like more to do. In fact,
Yeah, way more to do.
the beginning of Brissinger is like all about
It's
them.
that.
It's
Yeah.
that. So
It's literally like
right out the gate, that movie was just like, fuck.
Yeah.
We killed them. Why did we
Yeah,
kill them? I don't know.
Yeah, it is spoilers, but it's also not spoilers because you can just assume that these things will be killed by him eventually because that's like his original mission is to set out and kill these things called the Razak that,
Killed
come
his
and fuck
family.
up his village, killed his
Yeah.
family, which they're like these weird beetle creatures or something that are assassins.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, so you said I haven't seen the movie in a long time.
Yeah. That
I
was one of
want
my
to see-
big complaints with it was just like, how do we do the next ones? Like,
Yeah.
you killed main villains that we don't know much about yet.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the third book is, like you said, the first 200 pages of Brissinger is like Eragon going out,
It's
killing
literally,
the Razak, and then like the consequences of that.
it's the Jabba's palace of the series, dude.
Yeah.
You're hearing about Jabba, just a little bit throughout the other two. Maybe a little more than a little bit with the Razak. But
And by the time it's the time for the hero to finally face him again, he's like an equal to them, or
yeah,
better, he's greater than them.
yeah.
So that was cool.
I'm certainly
I need to
gonna
watch
reread
the movie
these.
again.
You should.
I want to
You
see
should.
if I can find it, because now that I don't have a 10-year-old's brain, I'm sure I'm going to hate it.
Yeah.
But I still have fond memories of it in my mind.
Yeah, you might not ever hate it, but you'll see like all the holes in it for sure.
Oh, definitely. And,
I
and now
remember
having
when
read,
I watched it right after I read the book, I was just like, this is a fucking disaster.
well, now after having read the book, I also have how it's supposed to be in the book in my head, which I didn't have when I first watched it, because that probably also would have bothered me.
I'm glad that
Yeah,
Disney Plus is doing a TV show because another thing they do in the movie is like they just fucking speed run through plot.
Yeah, and they need to. I mean, it's an adventure story, so it's a lot of
Yeah.
traveling and
It doesn't need to be a big
Going
series,
places.
but 8 episodes should cover the first book.
yeah.
Better than a 2-hour movie that, oh god.
No, I think it definitely works better as a series than as a movie. I know, but
They should have
when
never
they first,
They should have never did those. They were trying to catch the fucking Lord of the Rings high. This
They
motherfucker
were.
only had 2 books out, probably 1 when they first got the rights to make a movie. And they were like, we're going to do a movie series on this. And it's just like, the next Lord of the Rings is not ready yet. The books aren't even fucking done.
yep, they tried to strike while the iron was hot, but forgot to actually heat the blade.
Yeah. Damn shame. But I think it does put it into kind of like a zeitgeisty type of material,
Oh, yeah.
Eragon. People do know it.
Well, that's the thing. Like, it was
Some
a horrible
people reading
movie, but it's the thing that got me interested in this series and
Right.
kept and like stayed with me. And I'm sure I'm not the
And
only one.
It's mainly a horrible movie because it's a really good book.
Right.
Honestly, I if I just watched the movie again, say now, with how much I remember the book, it might just be like a whatever movie. But
Yeah, if it wasn't
because I know the
attached-
book, it's
If
shitty.
it wasn't attached to a book, yeah.
Yes.
If it was like maybe just it's a movie about a guy who finds a dragon and fights an evil king, like that could be its own thing. But since it had to adapt the books and didn't really do it that well, it loses a lot of points for that.
You shouldn't start making a movie series if a story is not completed yet, because as a movie maker, you kind of have to look at the big picture. You have to say, because when you make a movie, there are things you have to cut and decisions you have to change. I don't really know why, but you
of
do.
Thrones.
Yeah,
Game of Thrones.
So why?
They did the same thing at Game of Thrones.
They were too cocky, yeah. Well, you know what though, with Game of Thrones, that's on George R.R. Martin. They came in. There were enough books out by that time that they could have gotten.
Speaking of which, speaking of Game of Thrones,
tell them, let's just do it. We'll just drop it.
We have something
Drop
to announce.
our new single.
Yep, Chase and I made a slap bet over New Year's.
Right?
Yeah, New Year's.
At midnight, yeah.
At midnight, we
On
made a
the new
slap
year.
bet on the new year. Chase thinks
Right
that
after we kissed.
that Winds of Winter is going to be released before George R.R. Martin dies. I bet that it's not going to release, or at least if
Braden
it does
think
release,
it's not going to release at all, but
I don't think it's going to release at all, but we also had the stipulation that, like, if it is released, it has to be released by George R.R. Martin. Like, he still has to be alive and had finished the book. Like, we can't have a Brandon Sanderson situation where he comes in and finishes it for him and releases it after he dies. Like,
right.
he
Which
has to
honestly,
release
dude,
it himself.
honestly, if something like that happens, I'm going to get slapped in the face 5 times, but lucky for us, honestly. The best thing for Game of Thrones is if somebody else writes it at this point.
Was it 5 or was it 7?
It's 6, isn't it? It's 7. It's
I thought it was 7. I thought we chose 7 for a reason.
7 for 7 books.
7 for the 7 books. Yep.
Yes. Ooh.
Oh, 7 for the 7 books, but the last 2 aren't that powerful.
Yeah,
that's
right.
what we said. Yeah.
Yeah. Because if they suck, they might suck.
Yeah.
Hopefully they don't suck, but so that's
And
the
for
thing. Like, I do think these books are gonna come out. I'm just hopeful. I don't actually know or think that they might, but I'm so hopeful. I want them to come out. At least one more. At least Winds of Winter for the bet. I want both of them to come, but like, I'm trying to be realistic and win a bet.
Which
here.
I was being generous with saying just Winds of Winter because I would definitely win if it was both of them.
I wouldn't take the bet if it was both of them.
Yeah.
It would have to be we'd never get it.
Right.
Ugh, George. I'm just saying this about George right now, and I think Jake said it too. There's no excuse for this, because I'm telling you, dude, I'm reading Wheel of Time. I know I've preached that a lot on this show. I've been talking about it ever since I've been reading it. It is so fucking good, dude. And they're big books, detailed books. The series is 15 books. I've read 4, sort of. I'm still working through the 4th one. But he wrote, I don't know, like the first 6 or 7 of these giant motherfucking books. In the first couple years of that, like, it was like 1990, 1991, 1992, 1993. I'm like, this motherfucker was able to pound out shit that I don't even think we've really dived into, and I'm already like, this is kind of better than Game of Thrones. And he has 15 of these fucking books.
Yeah. I think
George.
it's a work ethic thing. He's always like, if you see the chart of like the releases of his books, the first 3 I think are all released pretty like within a reasonable time frame, like 1 or 2 years. They're like 1 or 2 years apart for a book. Some might be 2 to 3, and then like after the 3rd one, there was like a 4 to 5 year gap when the 4th one came out, and
which
then,
is already, like, ooh, that's a lot of time.
Yeah.
But you know,
And
you
then
take it.
the fifth one, it was like a 6 to 7 year gap, and now we're approaching like, oof. Let's see, I finished the fifth book when I was still in high school, and that would have been 20.
I'm just gonna look up the release date. July 12th, 2011. That book came out. So
2011.
14 years ago this July.
When did the first season of Game of Thrones come out? Because that's when I started reading them.
I believe 2011, but let me just be sure. April 17th, 2011. So the first season comes out, probably wraps up, and then boom, that motherfucker dropped the last book that came out.
And I knew I was going to have to wait a while, and I'm still waiting. So that was 2011. It is 2025. God. So it's a 14-year gap.
You really think the success of that show before it fell from grace would have motivated this motherfucker to get it done, man?
Yeah, I don't know if he just wrote himself into a corner. A lot of people suspect he wrote himself into a corner and just doesn't know how to like conclude all of these plot lines in a satisfying way.
You should never write yourself into a corner.
Yeah, others say that he's just lazy, and he just he's a liar, and he's lazy, and when he says that he's working on it, he's not.
There's a lot of things people are saying out there. Hard to confirm what it really is.
It's hard to confirm.
We'll never know
I don't know what
really
it is myself.
But
I gave up hope a long time ago for him.
But
you're still in that.
Yeah.
You're still in that phase of still having hope with him, and I was in that phase for a long time where I was like, he's waiting for it, but he's gonna come.
I hate to break it to you, but like, I just hold on to hope.
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of anime.
I mean, it is possible.
I've been in this boat. I haven't read the books. Well, I haven't read the last 3 books, but I keep up with them. I have them all. I've been waiting for this next book to come out too, because it's going to be my reason to catch up. But I think that's another thing. I'm just like, I really hope it comes out. I'm willing to risk getting slapped in the face 7 times because I really want it to come out, because I do want to read into some of the shit.
Yeah, here's the crazy thing where they left off in the books. They left off, like, the last thing in the books is Jon getting stabbed by the Night's Watch. That's where the story is at in the books right now. So if we're to go by the show, that, they kind of took his notes, of what he wanted to happen.
Right. So that's another thing.
We still have a lot to go.
Yeah.
We have a lot to do.
Yeah. His notes. His motherfucking notes.
Also, like, the characters in the book are in completely different places than they were in the show. Like, Dany currently is stuck in a field with rival Dothraki around her, in like still on the other continent.
They sort of do that in season 6, I think.
Yeah, she's stuck there. Tyrion is with freaking Aegon Targaryen, who's a character they completely cut out of the shows.
Yeah,
but like, that's a whole plot line that we don't know where it's gonna go. Catelyn is still alive in the book. She's Lady Stoneheart.
She's like a zombie.
Yeah, she's like what Beric Dondarrion was.
Yeah,
or like Beric Dondarrion gave her
great characters.
His light. Yeah,
that's the thing. I'm just hopeful because like, it has so much potential to be. It is good. It is so good, just as what there is. But like, get the show on the road, because the show that was on the road crashed, and people need a reason to believe. And knowing that there's like Wheel of Time out there that's just so fucking good and finishes and has so many books and got done so much quicker, I just feel like he could do it.
Did you watch House of Dragon?
I watched most of the first season.
I heard the second season was disappointing, but I haven't watched it myself.
That's kind of what, if I would have heard the second season was as good as how I heard the whole first season was, I probably would have caught up. But I heard that too, so I was just like, which is a shitty reason to not check something out, but like, it just doesn't get me excited. There's so many things, and if I don't hear something is consistently doing well, especially Game of Thrones wise, especially after how much I fucking loved it. Yeah,
they have a lot of work to do to gain your trust back beyond pumping out
a sixth book would gain that trust back.
We'll see.
We'll see. And I'll get to slap Braden 7 times in the face if it does happen. And if that old coot fucking dies, I get slapped in the face.
Yeah.
And hopefully,
we should
still that book comes out.
We should say it's not 7 slaps all at once. It's whenever you want.
Whenever you
so
want.
you can keep them for years.
You can do 5 slaps in a relatively normal amount of time, and then hold on to the 4th one or the 6th one for 12 to 13 years.
Yep.
You know, Kingdom Hearts 2 and Kingdom Hearts 3 were a 13-year time gap. So I understand 13-year gaps and, wanting something.
But they at least had a huge team of people working on them. This is just on the whims of one 76-year-old morbidly obese man.
Ouch. Ouch. Yeah, I don't know. I'm holding out. You know me, man. I loved Game of Thrones so much.
Who's already richer than he could possibly imagine at his age, where he doesn't need to finish the book.
No.
He's not going to starve.
He clearly hasn't. But I am telling you, dude, after you wrap up the Inheritance cycle, check out Wheel of Time, because I am just on a beautiful little ride with that. And if you're still feeling reading after you get done.
I still need to get into Fourth Wing too.
That's true too. That 3rd book's coming out.
I'm in a big dragon phase.
If you stick with the dragon phase, yeah, you can read through the 4th Wing books way faster than you can read through Wheel of Time. So I'd say read those if you want.
Yeah.
But then,
like I said, I'm a pretty fast reader when I
get on the journey, man.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
Because the last book I read before these was Dune 2.
Dune Messiah.
Or not Dune 2, but just Dune.
Just Dune.
I started Dune Messiah, but didn't finish it.
You were done with that. Well, cool. Yep. And you said you had multiple books, perhaps, or are you just those books?
Just those books for right now. Cool.
I think that's a good...
I mean, the multiple books were the multiple books I had read in the single series.
Yes, that's great. I'm glad it's that way.
Yep, so that's my first new nerd shit thing.
Yes, I am trying to make a decision on what I want my first new nerd shit thing to be. I think I'm going to do the negatives, bing, bam. Do the negatives first, get to the positives. For each negative, there are positives in there. But my overall experience...
I'm interested to see what they are.
...is a little more negative. So, the first thing I'm going to go with is, because I have it right here, is I purchased the Digimon The Movies. Discotech re-released them on Blu-ray. It's the original Digimon movie, but also, we've talked about this on the podcast before, but I will reiterate. The Digimon movie we got here in America was a chimera of 3 separate Japanese OVAs that they
stitched them together
to make a movie, and they kind of combined them and made a story out of it. And you know what? It's one of my favorite fucking movies of all time ever. I love the Digimon movie. It's perfect.
I think I remember. Is there one scene where it's it has a pretty sick soundtrack?
Oh,
and it
has a sick motherfucker. I just watched it today.
I do have a core memory of me as a child, probably an 8-year-old child, watching the Digimon movie, and this one song hit, and I had to get up and dance.
I'll name all the songs as soon as we get to that. So this Discotech, this company that's doing it, they put the Digimon movie on here, but they re-released it, redubbed it. They got a lot of the original cast back and separated them and did the original script, the original version of each of these 3 movies. They announced it a year or so ago when they got the rights to do it. And I've been really looking forward to it. I was I love the Digimon movie.
Interesting.
I'd love to watch it with the original Japanese script, the original Japanese edit of each of these. So I've been looking forward to this for a while. And I will say this purchase, I'm so glad I bought it, because you cannot own the Digimon, the movie, the American version I have it on VHS. If you got it when it came out, you probably have it on VHS or DVD. It's not on any website. You can't buy it on Amazon. There's no way to own it now. So what they did was they released it for me, at least have on Blu-ray. They, upscaled all the animation. It looks so fucking good. They put it in that, widescreen mode. And I'm so grateful for that. This is a purchase I'm so glad I made. the three of them separated as the original Japanese like script, music, all that stuff, I absolutely fucking was so disappointed in them. So
Really?
just like and you know, the thing is, the first one, which is Digimon Adventure, it's like the origin story of when Tai and his sister were like really, really little kids and their hometown got like attacked by Digimon. And it's not very different than the original English dub in itself. There are some scenes in it that are a little odd, but a lot of you, so you're listening to it back, you're hearing them use like lines and jokes that you've heard in the original Digimon movie, but they just don't sound as good. And the background music, so bad. Like,
Oof.
for even like,
That's a big one for me.
because like I said, I watched them separately. I felt this way about each and every one of them individually. And then earlier today, Miranda and I watched the Digimon movie as it released in America. And I was like, this is so much better. Like, say what you want about like Digimon kind of got the One Piece treatment when One Piece first came out, but they did it so fucking well. Like, what they added to Digimon makes it what it kind of is in
Unintentionally
America.
made a masterpiece.
Oh my
Unintentionally
God.
made it better than the source material.
For sure. And I will say especially for these Digimon movies, man. Especially for these Digimon movies, because so I started with my favorite one. My favorite part of the Digimon movie is the part with like Matt and Tai. They're on their computers and they're fighting the virus on the internet kind of part. It's called Our War Game. It's always been my favorite part of the movie. I was just right out the gate like, oh, this is not as fun. Like, the music's not as fun. The dialogue's not as fun. Even some of the jokes that are the same, I was just like, yeah, it just sounds better in the original Digimon movie than it is here. And I think the music's what really did it for me. That original Japanese like
That's
soundtrack.
the main thing I remember from that movie. Like, I
Oh
don't
my
remember anything
God.
else about that movie but the music.
It's not even just like music in terms of like the Digimon movie plays like licensed, like Bare Naked Ladies plays on the Digimon movie, but even just like the orchestral music that's playing in certain scenes is not the same in these OVAs. Like, it's so just like, I'd have to just play the sound effect of how like not fun it is compared to like ska music or even just like the Digimon theme song just done like through a violin or something. Like, it just sounds so fucking bad. So right out the gate, I'm just watching this version of a story that I know that really only has a couple tweaks. Like, I see where they tweaked it in the original dub to make like the story of all three of these stories kind of connect. And I'm just like, yeah, it needed that because this sucks, dude. This sucks so bad.
That's disappointing.
So right out the gate, I'm hit with that. But you know what? The Digimon dub that we got as kids, like with that one, it's not too different. Like, there's not many big changes. Like, it's basically the same. Same as this first one. There's a couple weird parts that I get why they cut out. Like, there's a part where Ty's dad comes home really drunk and is like trying to get into their room and like kiss them, and I'm just like, I can see why we got rid of that. That's really fucking bizarre. We didn't need that. Skip that shit. And Digimon wasn't afraid to get into weird shit like that. Well, not weird shit but like dark material, heavy material.
It definitely was darker than
but that I was
Pokemon.
just like unnecessary. But we get to this third one. The original movie is called Hurricane Touchdown. Now, in the original dub of Digimon the movie, they've tied like the first story is just kind of like, here's the origin story of how we all became the Digidestined. The second one's like, okay, so here's this kid that's going to be in the next part. We're going to say he was a part of this one. And that's why it all connects. And that's really,
you.
but and like it worked. It was like, okay, this kid is why this movie happened. So that's why it connects. They're not connected really. So they have their own little story. And it just reminded me of really just bizarre anime movies that you just sometimes watch. Like, the story didn't really make a whole lot of sense, but it's Japanese, so you just roll with it. And some of the things they're saying, you're just like, I get why they changed it. Japanese people and American people don't speak alike, so they have to kind of mess around with it. Because if we say exactly what Japanese people are saying, it sounds kind of fucking weird.
You can't directly translate it.
So, you know, it was still nice to see because I've heard of like how the actual story has always gone. So I was glad to see it. But in my head, I just was thinking what we got was better. So who cares? Like, even the end in the normal Digimon movie, it ends kind of contrived. But in this one, it's just like it's contrived, but also it doesn't make any fucking sense. So you're just like, okay. I was so disappointed, man. So disappointed in these. The cool thing was they got all the cast back. Some of it kind of pisses me off because they got the original Matt voice actor who didn't come back for Digimon Adventure Try or the like final evolution movie that they put out, but he did come back for this, and I'm just like
the bad one. Yeah.
I'm just like, why would you? Not even the bad one, the most unnecessary. Like, it's good. It's nice to hear him. I'm glad he's at least there. But like, man, why didn't you come back for that whole other show? Fucking Vic Mignogna had to be you for a whole season, and I just have to roll with that. Come on. So, and that's there's a couple voice actors that came back for this, and I was just like, fuck, why didn't they come back for the other things? But I'm glad they're
Vic
there.
Mignogna. Was he? Did he do something controversial?
He did. Yeah.
Was he the? I immediately recognized that name, and I remember
it's
having
because it was
negative
happening when it was happening when we first became friends. But
yeah,
he's a voice actor for Edward Elric who got in a lot of trouble and got fired. It's all alleged. I don't know if it's alleged anymore. It's hard. It's one of those things. But yeah,
I remember
he
you
was
being
a really
pretty
weird
devastated
dude.
by it. Yeah,
Yeah, and I'd seen him at some cons. I like the guy, and I'm still just like, hard to say. But yeah, he is a little controversial now. So that's why when they did the last Kizuna, the last Evolution movie, they got another new voice actor for Matt. So I was just like, man, for him to just come back for this, I'm like, you could have been in the movie that is the continuation of the story, damn it. Instead of a lesser version of what I already liked. And like the original dub is mixed with some very weird thing. Like there's some retcons that they make. Like I know in the one that's about them as kids, like as young kids, there's like they try to tie in the other characters and they don't know each other yet, but they're just like, yeah, Sora's on the phone, but she wouldn't be because they didn't know each other at the time. But I will take that over the hogwash of what you get for not knowing them.
Wow.
One cool thing I thought was cool was during the fight with Parrotmon at the end of that, Greymon uses his horn and bashes it through his beak. And I was just like, that's a dope scene that totally got cut from the Fox Kids version. But
was it too violent or?
I mean, it was a horn going through a Digimon's like fucking mouth, and it was a little graphic. So I was like, yeah, I can see that being cut.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessary, but I was glad to see it. Too bad I wasn't glad to see the rest of the movie.
Well, at least you can rest easy knowing that you could have never gotten the original Digimon movie. They could have just had it be those 3 OVAs.
I got the best version.
You got the best version right away.
To me personally, people can say what they want about licensed music and things. It serves the Digimon movie so well. So well. There are so many songs that I only know because of the Digimon movie.
Licensed music definitely has its place in sub movies. You just have to be smart about how you use it.
The Digimon movie, just watch it sometime. It is a 90s movie kind of masterpiece.
Yeah.
You know, Bare Naked Ladies is there.
Since I was a kid, so.
Because they put in some of the made up songs that they have for the Digimon show, which are already awesome to begin with.
Yeah.
So they're in there and they work so well. But also they're just mixing in Smash Mouth is there at the end. There's Funk Show Brother plays at one point. Like it's so good, man. It's so good. And even like little things they say, like there's this whole subplot in the original dub where Ty's mom is just making these odd concoctions of food that just isn't there. Like she's just making food in the original, like in the original thing. But like in this, she's making like beef jerky shakes, and like Miranda was like sort of paying attention. And at one point, she's just like, "Izzy, would you like some more juice? I just squeezed some onions." And she was just like, "What?" And it's like it's those like things they added to it that I'm just like, this is why it's funny. This is why it's good. This is why it's This is why it's remembered.
Would you say it's the perfect marriage of American and Japanese culture?
I'd say that about the movie and just the first few seasons of Digimon in general, because they did the same thing with the anime when it came out. Maybe a little less. There's not licensed music in it, but it is like a different background music they added to it that I think helps. Like, at least here in America, things need to make sense to us as Americans more than it needs to make sense, or maybe not even just Americans, but if you're going to do an English speaking dub, put it in the way English speaking people speak. I think that's something that in recent anime in general, they lean so heavy on getting things to be perfectly translated. They lose like how people just basically speak to one another.
Well,
and
you can even notice you're not a subtitles guy.
I will for the things I care about. Like I really want to watch, I will watch things in subtitles. But as soon as it's English, that's how I'm watching it.
If you watch a dub with like English subtitles on, that's where you can really notice the change in translation. Because the subtitles, I'm pretty sure, are the direct translation, while the dub is what the English voice actors are saying to make it sound right. And so you can see in real time the changes that they made. Yes. And like the English version usually sounds better because that's how people talk.
And I will say a lot of people do a really good job with it, but sometimes they just like they miss the mark though. Sometimes, like I'll be honest, by the time Naruto Shippuden ends, me and Miranda just recently watched the dub. By the time it ends, you can see where like they started being more careful to pay attention to getting things exactly how the script in Japan was, compared to when they were just like making people talk fucking normal.
Yeah.
And it shows. But there are better ones. Don't get me wrong. There are ones that still do the kind of shit that Digimon did, where it like makes it make sense to us. But man, it's just, and it's, you can't please everyone. I'm sure there's lots of people that this came out and they were really pumped for what it is. It's good, but it just didn't jive.
Well, and now you know.
Now I know. I'm glad I own it. And like I said, I have a Blu-ray version I can watch of the original Digimon movie, upscaled, widescreen, anytime I want. And that's what I'll keep doing. That's what I've been doing for years. I love the Digimon movie. That probably has something to do with why I just can't like watch it the way when it's different, because it's just so different. But man,
Breaking
the music
news.
sucks.
Breaking news.
Breaking news?
I don't have to go to work tomorrow. They do care about us.
I was really worried that George R.R. Martin died.
Yeah. Oh,
you can't scare me like that.
It's a remote, and they're doing a remote learning day, so I don't have to do anything.
You don't gotta do dick.
Yeah.
It's like Braden's playing video games and reading Eragon
school,
tomorrow.
Yep, as the school hobo.
Somebody's got to be the school hobo.
I did like Jerry. We'll just go up to this hobo and ask him.
He works here, I think.
Yeah, we always see him walking around.
He's got to do something here.
No one's entirely sure what he does.
I might as well talk to him. I heard he has a podcast.
Yeah, that is my biggest fear. One day, one of them stumbling upon it.
Oof.
My hope is that if it ever gets to the point where the students can stumble upon it, it'll be because we're so popular that I wouldn't even need to be a teacher anymore.
Right.
We'll just do this full time, become internet personalities.
Wouldn't that be great? Great? I think we have it in us. It's just, I have some plans. Don't worry. I'm going to get us even far. Like, we're doing great for what we are, but yeah, I got some plans to take us higher.
Small mom and pop podcast.
Right on.
That's also the biggest podcast in the world.
It at least touches everybody in the world.
Yep. Pakistan, we see you.
We do see you. We see you and we appreciate you.
Yep.
I could go on about my negative thoughts about Digimon. I have something else that I'm going to be negative about soon. So I'm going to let you go and take another stab at maybe something, hopefully positive. But if not, whatever.
Yeah, so I mentioned I am in my dragon phase with Eragon. Mm-hmm. I was searching on the Switch shop just to look for any games that caught my fancy, and I noticed that Skyrim was on sale.
Oh, Skyrim.
Skyrim was on sale.
How much was Skyrim on sale for on the Nintendo Switch store? How much did you pay for it?
It was $20.
$20. I will give it to Nintendo. That's still like expensive for Skyrim, but like I'll give it to Nintendo. I expected much more.
And here's this I don't even think I saw it advertised when I bought this game. It's Skyrim plus all the DLC.
Yeah, the Switch version,
Which the DLC, when they came out, they were like $30 to $60 sometimes. Like they're expensive too. Mm-hmm. So like
that's what I love about the Switch version of Skyrim.
And so it all. So it's some of the DLCs that I've never even played from Skyrim that are on it.
You playing on your Switch?
It runs pretty well.
Plethora.
Yeah, I'm still playing through it, like the beginning parts.
Yeah.
It's crashed twice with me,
really?
but it's not like a super big deal because it has a quick save feature. So like I just quick save often, and you just reload your quick save, and it's usually fine.
I have the solid like thing of it. So
yeah, but the interesting thing that I've decided to do with this gameplay, which I think this was a DLC or it was like added in later, there's a survival mode where you can switch it on and off anytime you want, but I choose to keep it on. And what survival mode is it's no fast travel, less carry weight. You have to eat, like you get hungry, so you have to eat, and you have to sleep. And you have exposure to the elements, so you have to like stay warm and stuff too.
Don't
so
you
it's like
have to do that though?
No, not in the base game. You don't have to worry about temperature or sleep or eating.
I just meant the temperature thing. Everything else I was like,
so like it adds like a extra challenge because it turns it into a survival RPG, not just an RPG game. And I thought I was going to hate it, but I've been really enjoying it because it definitely makes everything longer, but it completely changes the gameplay experience to where I see so much and do so much that like I completely ignored in all my other playthroughs. Like food's actually important now. So like I loot food whenever I can because in the base game, all food does is it's like they're like worse health potion. It's health, but it's like worse health potions where like they'll heal like 2 health points, but like take up a pound of space in your inventory. So like they're never worth grabbing for me, but now they're important, and so I get them all the time because you need to stay hungry. I make potions a lot more now to like help with colds and all of that. Like all these aspects of the game that were always there, but like you never needed to use because like it was kind of more of just like a tedious thing rather than like a thing you needed to do to progress the game. Now you need to use all that stuff, and it's opened the game up a lot more for me. And also like I thought the worst part of it was going to be no fast travel, which is a challenge, but it turns it into much more of an adventure game where like you have to plan out your trips. And
that is a lot of walking. That is a lot of walking all the time.
But Skyrim is one of those games where it's good that like it is good to walk places because there's so much stuff in this game that you would miss if you fast travel everywhere. And I didn't even realize how many things I missed in this game because I was fast traveling.
No doubt. No doubt. They do pack that game through a lot of shit.
Yeah. So it makes it really immersive, gives you a much greater challenge to where you really have to strategize if you're going to do a dungeon or anything. And I've been having a fun time with it.
Good.
Just became a werewolf. Been wanting to get that.
Yeah, that's a fun storyline. What do they call
the companions?
The companions. Yep.
I immediately did that quest line because I was like, I'm gonna need this.
It's one of the first quest lines you can take up, and it's not bad.
Yep.
Yeah, it's fun, dude. One of my favorite ones of the DLC is there's the vampire subplot, but there's also like an island of just like I don't even know what to call them, fucking monster people. Skyrim has some fantastic DLC.
Is that the one where it was like an island off the coast of Morrowind?
I think so.
It was like an ash island or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
I lost Lydia there on my Switch gameplay. I was so sad.
That DLC
I didn't even need to be there. It was, I remember, dude. I got there and I was just like, oh fuck.
Like those enemies are all tough, like those weird creatures.
Yeah, that's one that like you need to make sure you're pretty far in the game and then go back to if you want to have just like a casual time through it.
Well, that's the thing. Like the Dawn Guard guy already came up to me and was like, "Hey, you want to join the Dawn Guard?" And I was like, "Oh, I do, but not right now because I don't want to do that DLC until I'm leveled more. And also, I want to keep my werewolf powers for a while, and then I will eventually switch over to vampire because I do like the vampire powers more."
Yeah, it's a fun storyline. It's a really fun little storyline.
It's a fun storyline, and I find it more immersive to be a vampire because there's more aspects to being a vampire than just like a werewolf. It's just you can turn into a werewolf and you can't get well rested. Like those are the only things. But vampires, you have to like avoid the sun. You have to feed.
Yeah. But it's fun. Oh, dude, and just Skyrim on the Switch is just, it was like a dream come true. Like now it's like normal to play a game like Skyrim on a portable device, but like when it released on Switch, it was like, this is the best way to play this fucking game.
Oh, I know. I'm really enjoying it. I love being able to throw it up on the TV screen if I want, or
Yeah.
just play it on
Or
the
just
couch in my
take it.
hands. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when I first got it for my Switch. I mean, I probably did the
Current-
most Skyriming on my Switch. I bought Skyrim 5 times. My Switch one's probably got the most use out of it.
Currently, I'm trying to get to the Greybeards, and it's really tough because I didn't bring things to like keep me warm, and so like he's
Yeah.
dying of frostbite before he even gets close.
Ugh. Got the Breath of the Wild options on.
Yeah, which I found out you have to make hot soup and eat hot soup as you go up because it keeps you warm.
That tracks.
Yep.
That should be fun. What an already great game that every time you play it can be different as much as you want, and then it's just like, hey, also, do you want it to be a survival game on the side? There you go.
Yeah, one of the few
And it's
games
portable?
I've bought multiple times
I think it.
on different
I'm
consoles.
not even like I love Skyrim. Don't get me wrong, and I'm looking forward to Elder Scrolls 6 like crazy. But I wouldn't say I'm the biggest Skyrim guy in the world, and I've bought this fucking game 5 times. Like,
Yeah.
you don't hear me talk about it a lot.
It's because it was re-released about a dozen times.
And I just, I figured, why not? Like, it's such a replayable game that it's just like, oh, there's a remastered, better graphics
It's like
version of it.
It's like
Sure.
the replayable game. There's still like I've played that game multiple times for years and years, and there's still new things I'm coming across.
Yeah,
in
Skyrim's
that game.
great. Skyrim's amazing. Skyrim's one of those games, and it's full of bugs, and it's still fucking so good.
Yeah.
And there
Although
are
it's almost part of the problem is that it was too great that Bethesda got very complicit with just re-releasing it instead of making Elder Scrolls 6.
I mean, they say they were. Well, they also were working on Starfield for Starfield.
Starfield Forever. Yeah.
That's
And then
not
my
that good.
final verdict of that game was, yeah, this isn't that great. It's fun for like the first 20 hours, not even, and then it's very
Yeah.
repetitive.
The biggest sin of and it's not even Starfield's fault. It came out like 2 months after Baldur's Gate 3, and it was just like, well, the thing that made Skyrim, like, Skyrim's still a great game to this day. The thing that made Skyrim what it is it was so good, and it had all those new features, and it was just like, it was all the things that made that game what it was, that Baldur's Gate 3 kind of gave us again, but
Yeah.
Starfield just didn't have.
Well, and it's so weird to me
that.
because I remember being blown away by the graphics and like how good it looked when I played it, and now that I'm playing it again, I can see like, oh, this is an old game,
Yeah. On the Switch even too, yeah, it has like a lesser.
which was weird to me because I remember it being like top of the line for its time.
for
But then I
sure.
realized like, yeah, this game's over 10 years
Yeah.
old. Like it's
Yeah.
old.
If you play the remastered versions that they put out for the PS4, like it looks a little like it's up res and it does look better.
I know,
but
I
it's
know
crazy
there's,
how
like,
that happens.
There's like mod packs and stuff you can get that make it look
I played
better, but
Oblivion a couple years after Skyrim came out, and I remember just being like, "Oh my god, this looks like dog shit." And like
Yeah.
when Oblivion came out, it was the most beautiful game I'd ever seen. Like when it was releasing, when I got it when it first came out, I thought it was like this was the peak, and then I played it one day and I was like, "Oh fuck, what the fuck?"
yeah, I've always wanted to play Oblivion and Morrowind, but have avoided them just for that reason that I know like they're old games.
I've never
it's gonna
played
be
Morrowind.
really rough.
I've never played Morrowind, but
That's the one that everyone's loves.
Oblivion was my first one, and I love the fuck out of it. Well, no, I think the good thing about Elder Scrolls is I think Skyrim is the one everybody loves.
Yeah, then
But
that was my first
They
Elder
just
Scrolls
get
game.
better. They
First
just get
and only.
better. Yeah, I mean, and Oblivion's great. Oblivion, like if you just say fuck it about the graphics and just play it, it's a fan. I love Oblivion. I love Oblivion. Oblivion was what Skyrim was when it came out, but then things got better. And that's the thing. Starfield came out not a week, but a couple months after Baldur's Gate 3, and Baldur's Gate 3 was just full of these really great advancements in the technology of video games that Skyrim was when it came out. And then Starfield didn't have any of that. And it was just like, all right, well, you want to fly a spaceship into space at a really slow speed, I guess, because like you can do that.
You want to be a space pirate, but then have it be really hard to actually be a space pirate.
Yeah. I didn't
That
get
was
very
my
far in it at all.
that
to
was
be
my
honest.
thing. I tried piracy in that game, but it needs a rework because they do not make it fun to be a pirate. It's more so like you honestly
It's the whole
make more
reason you
money.
should be a pirate.
You make way more money as an honest living than you do as a pirate, which I think is backwards. I think you should be able to make a lot more money being a pirate, but just like have bounties and stuff on you.
Hmm. Not so much.
That and like every companion in the game, except for like two, are all goody two shoes, and so like you can't do anything evil around them, or they'll leave.
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed that too. The way they look at you.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite. That's actually one of my favorite aspects about Skyrim, is that it doesn't have a morality system. Like I like morality systems in games when they do them right. Like I love Fallout's morality system,
Mm.
but with like they can be
Skyrim
so
has like a very light morality system.
Yeah,
like
they have, like, a
will
bounty
cops will
system
come
and stuff.
after you, but like there's some leeway.
but like you don't have a reputation or anything
Yeah.
to where like if you do enough bad things, like it closes off game content to you like it does in like I find it can be very restricting of like like how you want to play, whereas in Skyrim, like I'll steal, I'll kill people, like I
Yeah.
don't care because you're not penalized for it in the game, but like
Yeah. I
So-
glitched Starfield at a funny time with things like that, where like I went to the one guy's dad's house to get some sort of item, and his dad was an asshole. So when his dad walked into
I know
another room,
yeah, I know which quest line you're talking
I
about.
killed his dad. And then he came over and he was like saying the old dialogue to me as if I didn't just kill his dad. And I was like, I thought you were going to try to kill me for killing your
Just
dad.
shot his dad in front of him.
You're still saying like, hey, when my dad gets back, we'll talk to him some more. And it's like, you just saw me kill him. And
He's
I
just
killed
in
his dad
shock.
in a really weird way where his dad was like up through the roof. It's buggy as fuck. I ended up killing that guy and then just restarting my save. But the fact that the game made me go that far, like I really thought as soon as I killed the dad, the son was going to be like, I'll fucking kill you, because that's what they do in Skyrim. But he was just like staring at his dead dad's body, being like, all right, when my dad gets back.
The attention to detail in Skyrim is crazy. I walked up to this one cabin that ended up being a witch's hut. Like it's like an old woman, and she's like, "Oh, I'm just a old woman. Nothing suspicious here." And then like you break into her basement, and it's like a witch's thing.
Yeah.
And so I killed her because she was like doing
Sounds like
necromancy.
Skate 3.
It like implies that like it was like Hansel and Gretel, because you find like children's clothes in there, and like
Yeah.
assume that she killed children. And so I killed her, and then later on I get ambushed by these hired mercenaries that try and kill me, and I kill them. And then I see on the paper that whoever hired them was named Moira, and I had no idea who Moira was. I was like, I've never stolen. Like it said, I stole from her, and I said, I've never stolen from a Moira. Well, I looked her up, and she is the sister to the witch that I killed.
Wow.
And the items in that house that I took also count as her items, so it triggers that event.
Wow. Yeah.
And so I'm like, that is crazy that like the game knows this.
A game that came out in 2011.
Yeah.
Was really amazing for its time. It's amazing for today's standards.
Yeah, like it's infinite entertainment value.
Yeah. Skyrim's bon appetit.
I will say there's probably better ways to do the combat system nowadays, because the combat system is like, if you want to do mages, it's pretty much just like, because I do dual wielding magic and then a one-handed weapon.
Sure.
But like it's mostly just like you shoot fire at the guy and just keep the fire stream on him until his health goes to 0, and like run away if he gets close to you.
Especially if
like,
your
stuff.
mana's like boosted enough that you could just take him down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that could probably that's a little bit of an older combat system, but other than that, it's like
we'll get Elder Scrolls 6 someday, and we'll see what they add to it. Good thing is they're making new games that aren't that are pretty good.
Well, the expectations are so high for it that like I'm sure they're probably nervous to even release it, because if it's not as good as Skyrim or better, people are gonna be pissed.
It doesn't even. Here's the thing, dude. Not only does it have to be as good as Skyrim or better, it has to be better than games that are already better than Skyrim right now. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's got just like it has to.
It has to be good for modern times. So Skyrim was the best game for its era,
Absolutely.
and this needs to be the best game for
And it
its
sucks
era.
that it has to be. Like, it could still be a really good game without being that, but it just that's where we're at. I mean, that's why Starfield's not popular, is because it's just like,
yeah, people have waited for so long that like if it's anything
Yeah.
but perfect, they're gonna pitch a fit, which is a really rough position to be put into as a game developer.
yeah, you just want to make a good game, and yeah, but we'll see. I mean, it'll come out eventually. We'll all play it. We'll have something to talk about. It sucks that there's
Same
such
with-
a gap between these games, but like Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming out. People are losing their shit about it already. I'm losing my shit about it. I'm probably gonna take a couple days off of work.
I thought it
to
got
play
delayed. I thought it got delayed again.
It got delayed a little, but like it's still coming out sometime this year, and I'm
Yeah,
probably gonna
like,
take
I
some
know-
work time off. But what I'm
I
saying
definitely
is,
know there's a game that's being made for that. Yeah.
nobody. I mean, I know people are like, "What are we gonna do the next Grand Theft Auto game?" But there's no concerns like there is. Like, we're all just like, "Oh yeah, Grand Theft Auto 6 is, or yeah, 6 is gonna come out," and we all know it's gonna be good, and it's probably gonna be really fucking good. And I mean, Grand Theft Auto 5 came out in like 2012, 13. Like, there's a big gap in between.
It came out
games,
around the
too.
same. It came out around the same time Skyrim did, because I think
Yeah.
Skyrim was 2012.
I think Skyrim's 2011. I want to say November, and I think
2011 to 2015 was a good era for video games.
we've consistently been in a really good era for video games. Personally, I think when we look back to this era, it'll be considered, if not gold and silver. It's a pretty good era of video games.
I mean, we got Baldur's Gate, which some people consider one of the greatest games of all time.
I love Baldur's Gate 3 so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, God, so many good video games. And I'm glad you're enjoying Skyrim on the Switch, because to me that was my favorite of all the times I've played Skyrim.
Yeah.
My
So I
Switch
know
has
it's
been my
not.
most
Yeah.
fun.
It's not on sale anymore because it was the last day of the sale, which
Sure.
also encouraged me to buy it, because I was like, oh, I'm not going to get that deal again for a while probably.
No.
But I would still recommend, if anyone wants to get back into Skyrim, it's a good way to play it, and you get all the DLC for free. Not for free, but for the same price as the base game. They're all automatically added into it, and I would recommend playing survival mode. It's pretty much a completely different game experience, and I think it's for the better.
Yeah, I've never played it like that. Probably won't ever, but
Like, it
makes
could
it a
be
whole different
annoying
game.
at times. It could be annoying at times, but like, I do like the extra challenge, because once you get to a high level in that game, most threats are not threats to you anymore.
yeah.
But with this, you at least still have to be smart about what you're doing.
That's a very you style of playing. You're such a survival game fan that I think what a way to make a masterpiece even better for somebody. Is
Yep.
to put it in their form.
Yep,
God,
because that is a game style I do enjoy.
I love talking about things that we're positive about and happy about. I love that, because I'm gonna bring
Yeah, I
this
mean,
down.
I was gonna say, you want to go into your next thing, because that's about all I have to say on Skyrim. I just recommend
Yeah.
people play again if they are so inclined.
All right, I'm gonna dive into my next thing. So here's the thing, Braden. I really had to like get some shit done for this episode, because I've been working on some stuff, but I'm not far along in enough of that stuff that I was confident talking about it. I knew I was gonna talk about the Digimon thing, and I was like, okay, what else can I talk about? So Brandon's taking a nap yesterday. Me and Sora are chilling. I'm like, what can I just put on the TV? Just something to watch. So I put on the latest of the Studio Ghibli Miyazaki films. The Boy and the Heron. I think it's called The Boy and the Heron.
Yeah, I don't follow Miyazaki too
Yeah.
closely, so I never know when he has new stuff out. I
Well,
just hear
he
it's good.
came out of retirement to make this movie.
Wow.
It won an Oscar, I think, last year for best
How
animated.
old is he?
Old.
He's up there.
He's
Yeah.
an old Japanese man, that's for sure. And big fan. I love, of all the ones I've seen, there's none that I'm like negative about.
Mhm.
Spirited
What's your
Away.
favorite?
Spirited Away. What a
Spirited Away is your
classic.
favorite?
Of course it is.
Spirited Away used to be my favorite, and it's still my top 3. But I watched Princess Mononoke when I was older,
Yeah.
and liked it way more than when I saw it when I was a child.
Yeah.
And so I think Princess Mononoke is my favorite.
You know what though, dude? I don't think there's a wrong answer to what anybody's favorite. I used to think that there was no wrong answer. I would have to say, and it's crazy because this movie reviews pretty well. Critically, it's in the 90s and it's in the 80s with the audience, so not super duper duper high, but still high. But if somebody told me this was their favorite, I'd just be like, is it the first one you saw? Like, is it the only one you saw? Is it the only Japanese anime thing you've ever saw? I did not vibe with this movie almost at all.
The title makes it sound boring as shit.
And it has potential there. It's not that it's completely boring. It's just
not to judge a movie by its title.
Yeah. Honestly, by its title, the things that it introduces just by its title are actually pretty good. It's just everything else around it. How can I talk about this movie without giving too much away? I'm going to give some stuff away, but I do want to go into it a little. I'll start with positives. I think this movie is the animation is absolutely beautiful to look at. Music's good. It's Studio Ghibli, it's Miyazaki. These things are gonna look good. The art style, they go to a different world, and the way the creatures are drawn, like the designs of things, it's all there. But at this point, I've seen that. You know what I mean? Even in like anime, now that we do seasonal anime just episodes of television, animation wise, look good. So like it needs to be more than just like looks good to win me over.
We've already reached the point in like animation where most studios can make really beautiful stuff with the technology that we have. It's not hand drawn anymore. Like
for but even for Studio Ghibli shit, this looked new, this looked good. There were some of those old designs on certain characters, but in the newer look, it looked good. But not like I wouldn't write home. Like, if things weren't just normally like that now, because like sometimes Naruto Shippuden's on here, and I'm like, oh yeah, this aged. But like, compared to like your Jujutsu Kaisens, compared to your Demon Slayers, compared to your Dandanons, this is just also good animation. So it's not enough to sell the whole thing anymore. And the good thing about those old Miyazaki movies is they are also the peak of the animation for their time. And still to this day. But they've got these really great stories that go along with them. And I just thought this story was, for the most part, nonsensical, but also not very deep. And not anything too new. And kind of odd at times. Yeah.
What's like? Could you describe like the plot synopsis of like,
I will.
if you were to read it on the back of a DVD?
I'm gonna get into it. I'm gonna get into this whole fucking movie. But the premise basically for this movie is, so you're introduced to the boy. I cannot for the life of me. I'm really bad with everybody's fucking names. I think his name is Mahito. I think that is his name. So I'll at least get his name right. The movie opens, it takes place like around like World War II era, and it opens to like his mom dies in like a fire during the war.
Gosh.
And it's real traumatic. So right away you're like, oh, this is pretty wild. His dad is like the CEO of like a huge company in Japan in that period of time. Yada yada yada. It jumps ahead about 3 years. He's moving in with his dad met another woman and like is having a baby with her. So he's meeting this new mom in his life and moving to where they live. And on this like area, there's
some mommy issues.
Yes, and we'll get into that. So on this land that she lives on, that now his like company has like servants and people working for, yada yada yada. At another point in the movie, you find out that there's this tower in the movie that it's always been kind of odd. The heron, the blue heron, kind of crawls into it, and you're just like, what's going on there? You find out later that a rock from fucking space fell there, and like a relative built a castle around it. We'll get to that. But That's the thing. This is a movie that's really hard to explain the plot without giving things away.
It sounds like one of those more convoluted studio like some of them can be convoluted,
and usually it's good. So here's my issue.
Like Howl's Moving Castle, I consider convoluted, even though it's also good.
For 40 minutes of this movie, it's a 2-hour-long movie. For the first 40 minutes, maybe a little more, we haven't gotten to the Spirited Away. Like we're still just in like basic human. Like things are gonna get out there eventually.
We're still in the part of Spirited Away where they're in the car.
For sure. For a really long, like, and they kind of tease you. Like there was a part where I was like, oh, this is where we're getting wacky. And then it went back to just being normal again. And I was just like,
you're waiting for the beat to drop and it's not dropping.
When are we going to get to the craziness? And it's just like, it gets there. But like I said, it's 40 something minutes of just like these, life issues. It teases you.
Would you call that like pacing issues?
I would call it pacing issues. I think if that would have been slimmed up a little bit, you watch this kid like make a bow, make an arrow so that he can hit this crane with it, or heron, sorry, because the heron spoke to him at one point. So the whole thing is like the heron, at one point, when it starts getting like sort of spirited away, the crane starts speaking, and it's just like, your mother's soul is waiting for you, like you can save her life, blah! And you're like, and then fish fucking jump all over his body, and you're like, oh, it's getting wacky now. And then it goes back to not being wacky. So you're just like, oh, is his mother's soul like somewhere in this, like wherever all this shit's going down at? And then it's like, it goes on with him building the bow, and he's trying to like hunt the heron so he can talk to it again. And it just goes on forever, dude. And then finally the stepmom, or like the new mom, she disappears, and his goal is to like, we find out she disappears in the tower thing, so he needs to go through the tower, and that's when it starts getting very spirited away. He goes through like a journey through this like magical land to save his stepmom, and yada yada, and maybe his real mom's there, and it's just.
But it takes 40 minutes to get to that point.
It takes so long to get to that point, and
where the movie actually opens up.
And then so it opens up, and I'd say the opening up scene is really cool. And then it like gets into the magical realm, and it slows down again, and it's a 2-hour-long movie, and it felt like an eternity, man. It felt like an eternity, and there were so many like things that were supposed to be like, whoa, crazy what if reveals that not only weren't treated like that, well, they weren't taken like that, but they also weren't treated like that when they finally like came out. We're like, here's the twist, and it's just like, what the fuck is. I was so displeased with this movie, man. Miranda walked in at about an hour, 40 minutes. I'll give this to the movie. The storyline just goes all over the place. So you're just like, at 20 minutes, I was like, this should be on its last like plot point, right? And it's just like, oh no, there's still a lot to go. And it feels like a lot. And I was just like, in 20 minutes, this movie's going to be over, and I'll never get 2 hours of my life back. And I felt that way after those 20 minutes ended. Still, it was... So now I'm going to get into some spoiler territory. But before I get into spoiler territory, I am going to say another positive. The voice cast for the English dub, really good, and they got a lot of famous people to voice characters that did an amazing job. The Heron,
like who?
Robert Pattinson voices the Heron, and
really?
You would fucking never know it. Christian Bale voices the dad of the main kid, Mahito.
Oh, so it's a bunch of famous Americans.
Florence Pugh, all like, but who have also done. I didn't know this, but Christian Bale actually voiced a character in Spirited Away.
Who did he voice in Spirited Away?
I don't know, but I saw it and I was like, oh shit, I can't remember now. But when I saw that, I was like, wow, he was in Spirited Away. Fuck.
I didn't know Christian Bale's game. I didn't know he gamed like that.
If you were in Spirited Away, I'd say this is not something he just kind of does sometimes. He's just like, that man has respect for Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli, but but there's Willem Dafoe voices a character.
I was going to ask if Willem Dafoe is in it. I was going to jokingly say, is he the crane?
Very small role. Very small role.
He pops up a lot randomly.
And David Bautista is a character in it.
Oh.
Mark Hamill voices a character. Like, there's a great voice cast here. They do a great job with what they have. It's just, it was so nonsensical, and like when it like got to like the emotional beats, I was just like, I'm not really feeling this. You find out that the kid's mom's like when she was a kid, she went to this world. So like her kid soul is still in the world. Like, so that's how he can interact with her. But he can't like bring his mom back to life. And she's just a character that he meets along the way. But you as the viewer are like, yeah, it's his mom, right? Like, that's his mom. But then when he finally finds out it's his mom, there's not like a big twist reveal. He just kind of like says it in conversation like he has known the whole time. And you're just like, okay, well, I mean, I guess I've known the whole time. So why shouldn't he? It just
could have been a bigger moment. But
there's this big moment where he's like trying to save his stepmom, his mom who's having a baby with her dad, with his dad. Where he just is just like, you're my, like he's trying to talk to her. She's like under a spell or something. He's like, you're my mom, because that's one of the subplots in the first 40 minutes is him accepting this new mom. But you're just like, why would he call her mom though? Like they haven't been through anything. But then get this, you find out through the movie that this woman who is the new mom is the sister of the original mom. So it's really this motherfucker's aunt that apparently he didn't ever meet until...
Was the father aware of this?
Yes, he had to have been. He had to have been. So
that's
it was just like...
on the dad's part.
It was, yeah, like it was just
Get
so...
with your dead wife's sister.
It was so those little things, and maybe that's a cultural difference in like Japanese culture, but like to me, I was just like, one, this kid accepts this bitch. He's calling her mom when really, like, why would he? But also, like, it's his aunt, and he didn't know it. It was like a reveal to him in the movie. That is
a weird thing to keep. That's weird information that you would expect people, like the characters, would already know.
It was just that much. And even like when things that these movies do well is like the weirdness, the art style, the aesthetic. Even with all that, like from time to time, I'd be like, "Oh, is this movie about to get better?" And then it would just get back to like story, and I was like, "This sucks."
Is it even relevant that she's the sister? Like, does that have anything to do with anything?
Yeah, it was sort of, because like the land that they live on was, so their great uncle is who Mark Hamill voices, who like found the meteor, built a tower around it, like so it has to do with like lineage as to why you can even get into this world. Like there's something there. There's a really interesting thought there. I just thought the execution, for me personally, and that's the thing, like a lot of people review this movie very well. I just feel like I've seen it all before, just done better, and the things that are nonsensical about it, I'm just like, it's nonsense. I don't know.
Probably not one I'm gonna be catching anytime soon.
It's been out for a while. Like it won an Oscar in like 2023's Oscars or 20 like I've been putting it off for a while. I saw it. I was like, I need something to talk about tomorrow. Let's watch it. And
is there a deeper metaphor to it?
Oh, for sure. I've heard that like it was written about Miyazaki's life as a child when he was growing up in like war era times, yada, yada, yada. Like there's something there, but like, sorry, dude, I'm not a 20-year-old college student anymore. I don't fucking care about the artsy background story. I care about what's right in front of me, and I just could not fucking vibe with it. But I watched it all the way through, hoping it would get better. Because like I said, at least it was nice to look at. And voiced well.
I might get crucified for saying this, but Studio Ghibli can be hit or miss with me sometimes. Where like I like a lot of their movies, but there's also some movies that I've checked out where I'm like, I'm just not. It's probably just because I wasn't the target audience. Like My Neighbor Totoro, that's like a beloved one. But when I watched it, I was pretty bored. But it's more so just like a feel good, kind of kids movie, like aimed more towards kids.
Yeah.
And so that's what I figured. I watched it when I was old, so I didn't connect with it as much. But yeah, like
I don't know who this movie was for exactly. Apparently, a lot of people did like it.
Miyazaki, apparently.
Yeah. Oh, and that's who it should be for sure. Like,
yeah.
Like I said, there's a lot of good here, but like there was like plot wise, I was just like, it's either I've seen this before, and what I haven't, it's weird. I don't like it. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Couldn't hook your attention well enough.
No.
Did you check your phone?
Oh, dude, I mean, I paused the movie. I got up to pee. You know what I mean? Like there were breaks for sure. So I was watching my son. So, but at least I did.
You weren't glued to the screen.
At least I did pause it. I paused it, so I made sure I saw it all. But like, I wasn't. That's what, and like I couldn't believe when it was only an hour in. And I couldn't believe when there was 20 minutes left and how long it still felt. I was just like, and then it just ends. Like, it ends so abruptly that it's just like I'm glad it's over, but Jesus, fuck, bummer. Especially when you hear a movie's really good. That's me sometimes. I hear something's really good, and then I watch it, and I'm like, most of the time I feel like I'm like, that was really good. But there are just some that I'm like, I missed something here, and I definitely missed something there. Because
you liked Swiss Army Man, and that one's a weird one.
Yeah, that's a good weird. That's a good weird. That's what I mean. There are movies that give me the same feeling that Swiss Army Man gave me. That
it's a good weird because it's still a coherent weird. You still understand.
And even when it's incoherent, you're kind of like, yeah, that's the vibe here.
That makes sense for what they're doing. Yeah.
But when I watch a movie like The Green Knight or fucking what's that Viking movie, The Northman? I'm just like, this is just too fucking out there for me to even be like, this is just too weird. Both of those movies reviewed really well. I didn't even finish The Northman. I was like, I'm not digging this at all. And then The Green Knight, I was just like, I watched the whole thing and I was like, that movie fucking sucked.
Damn.
Yeah.
So that was your last negative one?
That's my last negative one, correct.
That is good. Because I was going to say that would be a good segue for my next thing.
I'd say so, wouldn't it be?
Which is Kaylee and I saw Nosferatu.
You made it. You did it. You went and saw it.
Yep. The newest movie by Robert Eggers, who, as you were talking about, he made The Northman and The Green Knight and
Did he make The Green Knight as well?
I don't know if he made I don't think he made The Green Knight, but he made The Witch, The Northman.
He made The Northman. I know that much.
Yeah. Yeah, he didn't make The Green Knight. I lied about that one.
I don't think so.
But he did make Nosferatu.
Correct.
We saw it at 10 p.m. in IMAX, which was the best way to see it. It added to the creepiness factor.
What about 7 p.m. at IMAX?
As long as it's dark out, you'll be good.
Okay.
It was just good because it was creepy and it was like abandoned at night when we were out of the theater. So, because it was like almost 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
By the time we left, because the movie didn't start playing until there's a half hour of previews.
Of course, there was.
It didn't start playing until 10:30. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. We really enjoyed it.
You really enjoyed it. Good.
Yep.
I love a good review.
Kaylee closed her eyes during some of the more intense scenes, but the movie helps you out. Like, if you're not into like jump scary horror, it's pretty easy to anticipate when there's a jump scare coming for the most part because of the score. The score is fantastic. It really adds to the creepiness factor, and seeing it in IMAX was the move because it like boomed out at you. Like, it was just like the music would get really intense and really booming, and like you knew something bad was about to happen. And there are jump scares, but it doesn't rely on them. The main factor is like creepy atmosphere. He does atmosphere very well, that Robert Eggers. But yeah, it's dark and gloomy. You just feel, Nosferatu's like a whole he's like a whole presence in this movie. You can feel his evilness. For those who don't know the history, Nosferatu was originally a 1922 unlicensed adaptation of Dracula, where it's not Dracula, but it is Dracula. Like, it's nearly scene by scene, almost identical to, or I should say beat by beat, identical to a regular Dracula story. The only
He's a vampire, man.
Yeah, the only biggest differences are, I think the settings are like, this is set in Germany, and like, it doesn't say Transylvania, but you're supposed to assume that that's where they go. Like, he goes to like this Eastern European thing to find Count Orlo, which is the name, Orlok, not Orlo. That's a character in Catherine the Great. But Count Orlok, who is the Dracula character. Oh yeah, all the names are different, like they're German names. Because I think Dracula takes place in London, or like the main human characters are in London. But in this one, it's in Vickburg, Germany, or something.
Mm-hmm.
And Count
so
Orlok.
not only are they vampires, they're Nazis.
Yes. It's like 1830s something, Germany. And Count Orlok is slightly different from Count Dracula in that he's like way more of a monster. Like Count Dracula, he's like a vampire, obviously, but he has like this human side, like presenting side to him where he can look like a human and talk like a human and has like, human thoughts and stuff, but he's still a monster. Like Count Orlok, there's not really any human thing in it. Like there's no man in there. Like he's just a pure monster.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I mean, I've seen him fucking flicking the lights at Krusty Krabs.
He was flickering those lights.
Fucking monster if I've ever seen. He scared the shit out of those guys.
Yeah.
Nosferatu.
Yeah. So yeah, he's supposed to be more of like the old school back to formula vampires where he's just like
the crappy
an evil
secret formula.
Yeah. He's just like an evil undead thing, and he looks undead. Like when you see Bill Skarsgård as Count Orlok, like you see his body a few times, and it's pretty much that of a rotting corpse that is just reanimated. Like nice. So he's this.
The visuals are very well done in this movie. You'd say.
Visuals are very well done. It's one of the strongest. It's a beautiful movie. It's very creepy, shot very well. The cinematography is really good. And yeah, in this one, it's like there's no love for vampires. Like he is just pure. He's supposed to be like evil incarnate, or I think, or at least in the original Nosferatu, he describes himself as appetite itself. That he's like just hunger, or he represents hunger.
I feel like I'm appetite itself most days.
Yeah.
Just call me handsome Nosferatu.
Yeah, it's casted very well. The cast all does a very good job. Is it Lily Rose Depp?
Yeah.
Is the main girl. She does a really good job. This is the first thing I've actually seen her in, I believe. I didn't watch that show that she was in that tanked with The Weeknd. I know she got drug a lot for that, but I could tell that that wasn't really her fault because she does a very good job in this. And she has to do a lot of crazy scenes with her body where like she has like these spasms. The whole thing is like he has this influence, like Count Orlok has this influence over her and wants to make her his wife. But she's married to another guy. You find out later on in the movie that she like met him briefly when she like called out to him when she was a young girl, and he answered and basically like cursed her with eventually he's going to just take her as his wife. A lot of themes on like old men preying on young women and sexuality and repression and differences between like power imbalance between the sexes, all those kind of all that kind of fun stuff.
The way things ought to be.
But yeah, so like he has this influence over her, and like when he gets close or like is like starting to try and take her, she gets these like seizures or like these spasms. Like she starts to sleepwalk. Her husband, who is played by Nicholas Hoult, works for this real estate broker. He is about to become rich, but he's still kind of a poor man, and he wants to make some money, and he gets this account to go to Count Orlok because there's this Count Orlok that wants to buy a house in the city. And so he has to leave her, goes on a 6-week journey to Transylvania to meet him. And in the meantime, when she's left behind, I think it's Transylvania. They never really say what it is. They just say it's like in Eastern Europe somewhere, like Romania.
Victors.
Yeah. But yeah, so like while he's gone, she stays with his friend who's played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, and she gets like all these spasms and fits and stuff and dreams of him, and she has to like do crazy shit with her body, like shake all over and like run, and she like moans, and it gets weird sometimes. Like it looked like it was like pretty taxing scenes, and most of her scenes are like that, where she's just like having a real bad time with this vampire. So she had to do a lot. And then Nicholas Hoult did a good job because he is the first one to actually meet Count Orlok. Like he goes to his castle, and like he sees some weird shit on the way there. He meets some traveling Romani people that make fun of him, and then realize that he's going to Count Dracula's, or not Count Dracula, Count Orlok's castle, and are like, oof, good luck, we're ditching, like we're leaving here. And so like
we're not dealing with that nonsense.
Yeah, and so he goes, and like within the first scene of meeting Count Orlok, you don't see him. Like you see the outline of him, and you can see part of his face, but he's in shadow. And like the scores in the background is really creepy. And then when he speaks, his voice comes to the forefront of the audio. So like it's like him, like you feel like his presence immediately dominating, because like his voice is higher than everything else, and it sounds like he's like right next to you speaking, but he's like across the room, and he's really creepy. Bill Skarsgård does a really good job. He has this mustache that I love, that I never thought I would just attach myself to that detail, but he has this like Eastern European dude's mustache that just, I don't know, it just adds something to him for me.
Are you gonna do it?
To get the mustache? I don't know if I could grow a mustache like that. It's like a bushy, like Eastern European mustache, like Russian, like Tsar mustache.
You think if I tried, I could do it?
Maybe. You have to make it get pretty thick.
Looking at me the way you can right now, do you think I could pull off just the mustache?
Yes.
Thanks.
I want to see you try.
I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I'll never get people to come back to my library van if I just show up with a mustache someday.
But yeah, Nicholas Hoult does a good job in those scenes, because it goes from him being nervous to being terrified, and you can tell very easily. And then like he doesn't know what's going on, but he just wants to get the fuck out of there, but he has to stay and finish the account. And Count Orlok's also like not really letting him leave, because it's like a remote castle, and so he's kind of stuck there. Yeah. And he is feeding on him like at night, and like he wakes up with like bite marks on it. I think he stays there for like 2 or 3 nights.
It's not one of those scenarios where if you get bit by a vampire, you turn into one.
No. I was wondering if they were gonna do something like that, but no. It's just he just feeds on you, and he doesn't have to kill you right away. And it shows him feeding, and it's very disturbing. I've never seen them depict a vampire like this, but it's like almost sexual, but in a very gross way.
You've never seen a vampire depicted as sexual?
No, but like in this, it's like sexual but grotesque at the same time. Where like it's not, there's nothing erotic about it, but it is shown like he.
But you found
basically,
it sexual.
No, he basically straddles them.
Maybe that's just something about you.
I'll describe it. He straddles them when they're laying down in bed, bites their chest. Like he doesn't go for the neck, he goes for the chest. And then with each like gulp, he thrusts onto them. And it also has this really gross sound effect of him feeding, where like you hear him gulp down this blood, where it's like, and like with each time he does that, he thrusts into, and it's supposed to like kind of look like he's raping him. So yeah, it was very gross.
Enough said.
So yeah, it's very like he wasn't raping him, but it's just supposed to, I don't know.
He was kind of raping him.
Implied, yeah, pretty much.
I mean, I don't know, man. Let's talk about this. How do you feel when you're somebody, like, let's say you're sleeping one night and somebody fucks you in the ass? You feel, what makes it a rape? Oh, you didn't want that to happen, and they did something to you.
Yeah.
I don't know, if I woke up and somebody was sucking my blood, I'd feel probably the same. I'd probably feel the same. He's still penetrating
you. He's just penetrating you with his teeth.
Without your permission, while you were sleeping. There's a lot there to be like, it's got a lot of similarities to rape, at least.
Which I know Dracula is supposed to be like a metaphor for old men preying on young women. So like he is supposed to be sexual, but in like a gross, non-consensual way. Creepy old men. But yeah, Nicholas Hoult manages to eventually escape Count Orlok's castle, but by then it's already too late because he's on his way to go bang his wife.
Right on.
But he has to go by boat.
Her body's been doing crazy shit the whole time.
Yeah, and Nicholas Hoult manages to get a hold of a horse and ride back. And then eventually events come where like Orlo reaches Orlok. I keep saying Orlo. Orlok reaches Vickburg and brings like the Black Plague, like he crashes a ship onto the docks, and like a bunch of mice, like plague carrying mice, crawl out of it. And like there's a lot of mice in this movie. You could tell they used a lot of real mice, because there's like scenes where they're just like they cover an entire floor of a room of like just mice and stuff. It's very gross and
Do you
creepy.
think those mice got paid?
Probably not. No, they probably
should have been?
euthanized afterwards. Probably all euthanized or
Fuck.
sent to labs to be tested on.
Mice got it rough.
They probably didn't euthanize them, but I don't know what they did with them.
Didn't pay them, that's for sure. But
yeah,
you liked
they
it.
all,
Overall, you're a big fan of this movie.
Overall, I'm a big fan of this movie. I would say to you to go watch it. It's artsy, like it's like in his other style, but it follows like a classic story.
I don't mind an artsy style. It's just that Viking movie was ridiculous.
Right, like it has a coherent plot line and events and stuff that happen, and you can follow it of like what's going on pretty easily.
Ernie said he had seen it the other night when we were hanging out, and he had enjoyed it. So I that made me feel better about it. I was like, okay, at least like somebody I know likes.
Yeah, if you like classic gothic horror, you'll like this movie, because that's what it is. It's gothic horror through and through.
I do want to watch it. I do want to see it. If we can find a way to get to see it, I would. But I want to see it. Yeah. And knowing that now I know, like I was a little hesitant as soon as I said I saw the director. I was just like, ah. And there was another guy I watched on the internet who said he was like, he didn't hate it, but he was like, I don't know, it was just. It's kind of like how I feel about the Sonic movie. Like it's a good movie, but like could have been better.
I've seen a lot of mixed where like some people are like, oh, it's the best movie they've seen all year, and then other people, it didn't even break their top 10 list.
Right. I don't even know if I have a top 10 list for all of 2024.
Yeah. I mean, you have to. I mean, this is definitely for a specific audience. This is not a general audience's film where like you can just bring the kids to go see it.
Yeah, I'm gonna. I think we'll find a way to check. Maybe if it's still playing in DuBois on Thursday, maybe Miranda and I will go check it out.
Oh, and I will have to say, Willem Dafoe is in this.
Of course he is.
And he was my favorite character. He was also Kaylee's favorite character. We're like, the movie, it doesn't necessarily have slow parts, but there are certain parts where like it was kind of like, all right, where's this going? Like, let's get back to the plot. Like, let's keep it moving.
Mm-hmm.
But then once Willem Dafoe's like, he shows up about halfway through in the movie, and he's like the Van Helsing analog to this, where he's like the vampire hunter.
Mm-hmm.
The movie really picks up when he comes into the movie, because he kind of adds a little bit of comedic relief, or like he's not a comedic character, but he's not an overly serious character where like he's eccentric, so it comes out as comedy sometimes.
It sounds like his role in Beetlejuice, which I liked.
Yeah, and so like I really enjoyed seeing him in that. Like he really breathed life into a movie that was not starting to lose me, but it was starting to be like, all right, where is this going? And then like he shows up and he's like, all right, this is where the plot's gonna go. And he does a really good job, and he's really fun to watch. He's fun to watch play off all the other characters. He's fun.
Always good to see Willem Dafoe.
He's great at doing eccentric, zany characters that also know what they're doing.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, he's here to save us.
Yeah.
Because Van Helsing's my favorite character in the original Dracula. He's just an old dude who talks smack to him and outsmarts him.
Yeah, and it's good to see that with a different take, a different characterization with a man Willem Dafoe playing the character.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say the weakest performance, Kaylee and I talked about this, we both agreed that it was probably Aaron Taylor Johnson's character. He didn't do a bad job, but he was the one where I noticed the most from like, oh, that's Aaron Taylor Johnson playing a character. Like I didn't necessarily see his character.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, oh, this is Aaron Taylor Johnson acting. But again, he didn't do a bad job. Just compared to the rest of the performances, his was the weakest.
He's just there.
Like Nicholas Hoult, Lily Rose Depp, Willem Dafoe, fucking Bill Skarsgård are all top of their game.
Yeah, I gotta at least check it out.
Yeah.
There's
this one.
Hope I don't dislike it.
There's this one doctor character that we both ended up really enjoying. That like I thought he wasn't gonna be a big character at all because he's kind of just like the doctor that they first employ to see what's wrong with Lily Rose Depp, and he comes across as like a doctor back in olden times, a quack doctor that was like, oh, he's got too much blood, we have to put leeches on her, we have to blow cocaine up her butt or something. Um, he doesn't do that, but like
I
you
gotta
just
get
tell
that
like,
doctor.
oh, yeah, this is just like a random doctor, but he happens to know Willem Dafoe because we find out he was like his apprentice before Willem Dafoe was like excommunicated from doctor school for being into the occult.
Mm-hmm.
But he sticks around and he like he's like a homie till the end. Like he helps them with the problem. Like he goes to Count Orlok's house with them when they go to try and like see if they can destroy his coffin, whatever. That ends up becoming the plan.
Mm-hmm.
These are spoilers, but they're also not spoilers because this is a movie that's been out for 100 years and retold countless times.
Sure. We talked about this very movie when we talked about Son of Dracula only a few months ago.
Like it's pretty much like Son of Dracula, and then when I talked about the Dracula movie that we like the original Dracula, it's pretty much the same story where at the end they have to go see if they can destroy his coffin.
Do they?
But things well, I won't say because I will say things don't necessarily go exactly that way, but I'll leave that up to you.
You've definitely piqued my interest. I went from like I really want to see it to then I was like, Dad, do I need to go see it? To now I'm like, all right, I feel like because so many movies I've seen lately have just been letting me down, so I'd be happy to see another really good one. I would say I have a very high tolerance when it comes to horror, where like a lot of it doesn't really get me, like it doesn't really make me that scared. This movie got me a few times. Like a few scenes got me where I was like, ooh, like I almost closed my eyes. I didn't, but there's a few times like it just, and there were like one or two scenes that are like genuinely shocking, that were like genuinely shocking for me to see. I won't say which ones because you need to experience it for yourself. Yeah. Good enough for me.
But it's just like, whoa, they actually showed that.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. That's
a good enough review for me, man. Maybe by the next Nerd Shit in the Dark, I'll be following this one up. Hopefully. You should. I'm sure it'll come out on streaming in a few months and you can catch it then, or if you could still catch it in IMAX. I doubt we'll see it in IMAX, but we might be able to see it in Du Bois this week. Yeah, I would still recommend seeing it in a theater just for the surround sound, because like that score is really enhanced by having it all around you. No way I'm traveling anywhere that has an IMAX to see it. Yeah, but I don't blame you. Du Bois, I can hit that shit up. At least the movie theater, I would still recommend. It's better than watching it in your basement. Yeah. Your mom's basement or in just your living room. Yeah. Though I've had some great cinematic times in my living room, especially when we turn the surround sound on. Oh yeah. But no, I would like same with Wicked. I'm just like Wicked was so good, but I feel like a lot of it had to do with me being in a theater, even a theater with shitty sound. Yeah. It also made me extra pissed off than when the surround sound was so good in Nosferatu, and I'm like, why did we not have this for Wicked? Yeah. And the thing is, I'm pretty sure the Pittsburgh Mills has an IMAX theater room, but we didn't see it in the theater room. Like the time that it played was not in the IMAX part. I feel like the theater should still have surround sound. Dude, yeah, something was fucked there for sure. Like they had speakers on the walls. We won't be visiting them anytime soon. No. I mean, they looked like they were on their last legs there anyways. It was a ghost town in there. That theater might stand forever, but that fucking mall is dead. But yeah, Wicked, still great for what we saw it in, but I would have loved to be. I don't see a lot of movies in IMAX, but when I do, the sound is definitely part of it. Yeah. Yeah. And sound is a big thing with this movie, where like that's where half the fear comes from in these scenes, is just the music is getting crazy. Yeah. We'll try it. We'll pencil it in. We were both interested in it. Then when we found out that the guy that did the Northman did it, we were like, that was one a lot of people liked that we didn't. But he's a darling for a lot of people. And there are good things about the Viking movie, but like most of it, I like same thing with that fucking Miyazaki film. We're like 40 minutes in and people were still fucking acting like wolves and howling, and I was just like, can we like get the fuck moving here? What the fuck is all this weird shit? But I think I'm more susceptible to just absolute bonkers weirdness when I'm watching a horror film than I am.
Yeah, and there's a lot of bonkers weirdness and uncomfortable, creepy scenes.
Good. And there's no like movies coming out for at least another month or so. So this would be a good excuse to hit up the movie theater.
Yeah, I
And
hope Bill
hopefully see something
Skarsgård
good.
gets nominated for something for this role because he, I don't know, with roles like that where they kind of disappear into the role. Like I feel like sometimes people don't always recognize that.
Yeah,
Like it took Andy Serkis a long time to really get recognized.
that's fair.
As
Yeah,
like
I mean,
as like
we'll
a legit,
see.
as like a legit S tier actor.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people do just know Bill Skarsgård. Well, and that's the thing though too. What I'm about to say is it's kind of the same with this. He's always playing like a
Monster.
monster, or like a designed. It's like
He's a big character actor.
well, it's the same thing with Andy Serkis where you just saw him as a CGI thing until you actually started seeing him as him. But like
Yeah.
for the most part, he does the CGI stuff, and then for the most part, for this guy, he does like weird, like the It Clown, like this.
Then you see Andy.
like-
Then you see Andy Serkis as himself in Andor, and realize that he could always act
Mhm. Oh.
as just himself the
You
whole
see
time.
Andy Serkis in 13 going on 30, and you're like, oh, he's
Yeah.
he's like an actor. He's like a guy. Yeah,
He's like a person.
he's like somebody that could be like a big deal. This is post fucking Gollum, 13
Yeah.
going on 30. At least the
I think the
future
the
part of the movie.
Planet of the Apes movies were the ones that finally cemented him as like a big deal.
But he's still CGI. Like he's still like a creature thing. Same with
Yeah.
being Snoke. Like he
But I
just,
think what helped
that's,
with
that's
that
what
is
he's
that,
known
like,
for. He's still known.
Those were like he was like the main character, and like those were all the characters were like the CGI creatures. So
Yeah. So, and I just feel that way with Bill Skarsgård.
yeah,
Yeah,
Bill.
he plays a lot of these just like makeup, which isn't a bad thing, but that's what he's most known for. I'd like to see him get some more roles as like Tim, but at the same time, I don't need that either because he does these monster things so well.
He was in this one show. I think it was a Netflix show that I used to watch, where it was a vampire and werewolf show. I think he was a vampire. He played a vampire, and it was like this other guy who played a werewolf, and he was himself. That like he was like an Edward Cullen vampire, not like a Count Orlok vampire.
Yeah.
So he's himself in that, and I thought he was good. That series is a little weird, but I forget what it's called.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. I know him from just these things that he's in. I know he did that one movie last year where he played a guy that couldn't fucking talk, and like Joe from Family Guy spoke for him. I can't remember what that movie was called. Looked interesting, but it didn't review very well, so I didn't see it. Boy Kills World is the name of the movie.
Yeah,
But yeah, I like him in everything else I've seen him in, so
I mean I like all the Skarsgårds.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, they all have like kind of their own little specific.
They did a lot of vampire things because is it Andrew's the other brother? Are there three brothers?
Yes. No, there's a
dad's-
dad and there's two
Dad's
kids.
Stellan, and then
Yeah.
is it Andrew and Bill?
That sounds right. There might be three.
Alexander. There's no Andrew. Oh, Alexander, not
Alexander
Andrew.
Skarsgård.
Alexander, yeah.
That sounds right. Yeah, that sounds.
Yeah.
That sounds a lot better. Yeah. Those three.
He plays a vampire in True Blood.
Alexander Skarsgård is the Northman.
Yeah.
Man, yeah. That
Robert
Eggers guy
Eggers,
loves him some
he-
Skarsgårds.
He loves him, the Skarsgårds. He loves him, Anya Taylor-Joy, and he loves him, Willem Dafoe.
And I can't disagree with
The
any of
Lighthouse. He
that.
also did The Lighthouse. Yeah,
I gotta watch that. I've heard good things.
it's good,
I'll take your word for it.
though it is weird.
I take your word on a lot of things. Don't let me down. I hope I don't come back on the next episode and shit dark and be like, movie fucking sucked.
I hope not either. I hope you enjoy it. I want you to enjoy movies.
I do too, man. I just keep seeing movies that like they're not even that bad. They're just not as good as I would have hoped them to be. But it's not always that way. Wicked and Dune Part 2 blew my mind twice this year, and
That just came out on Netflix. They put
I
Dune
saw
Part 2
that.
on
I
Netflix.
saw that.
Yeah.
I saw it. Yeah, I fucking love that movie. So there are good movies that came out, but it's just from time to time. sometimes the things you expect to be good end up not being that good, which kind of sucks. And we call that the Game of Thrones season 8 finale effect. And that's just when you're like, well, Game of Thrones season 8 already happened, so this doesn't hurt me as bad because I've already been through it. Wow. You know, I was gonna talk about another positive thing, but I don't know. I might just say we skip to Jurassic Park, and I saved my other thing because we have been recording for quite some time.
Yeah. I was going to say we should talk about Skeleton Crew, but let's wait until that's all finished.
Sure, you've been watching it. Are you caught up?
Oh, yeah, we're caught up. We're caught up, yeah.
Has your opinion changed since last we talked?
I just like it more.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Kaylee?
She likes it more now, too.
Absolutely. Good.
Yeah, she's
Good.
bought into it.
We'll get into it more than...
It was like you said, once Jude Law shows up, it really picks up.
If we wait to record till like the last minute for the next episode of Shittin' Dark, we could do a full season review of that show then. Let's do that.
Yeah, that works.
Because by then, if we record that Wednesday night, the Tuesday night before is when the episode, like the last episode, would drop. So let's do that. I'm glad you're liking it. Yeah. I too like it. Do you see what I mean when I said like, not like it's like up to, like it's not Andor, but it's like quality like Andor.
I was gonna say the writing quality is close to Andor, just because they're all like fully realized characters that clearly are going through arcs, and it's a coherent plot. Like it's a pirate story.
Sure.
You know, old pirate leaves a legendary treasure, and you have to go find it.
How much do you love Jude Law's character?
Oh, he's great.
How much do you love the fucking droid?
He's the best.
So
part.
Good.
I mean, Star Wars, no matter how shit the product that they put out, they're great at doing scoundrel characters and droids.
Yeah, they like you can say what you want about Disney Star Wars. They've done right by most of the droids.
Like even in their bad stuff, their scoundrels and droids are still good.
Yeah,
like BB-8, great.
Oh yeah, exactly. People can say what they want about the sequels, but like when Force Awakens came out, every aspect people were like that, and BB-8 was certainly one of those. Yeah,
very cool droid design.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and it only continues. They nail the droids, and this is just another droid that, once again, love them.
Yeah.
Here we are talking about it.
Love that he has a peg leg.
I love everything. He has a peg leg and a fucking worm that lives in his head, and just the way he speaks. What's that scene he's talking to Jude Law, and he like, "Oi," or he says like the same thing twice to him, and then he like walks out.
He walks back in.
Dude, by the third episode, I was cracking up. The first two episodes are kind of like, setting the tone. There's like little silly here and there. But the third episode, like all the goofiness with Jude Law and that droid. And then from that point on, I've just been like, I cannot wait for the next episode. We will do a definite full spoiler, full series review once it's done.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot to talk about there.
But yeah, if shitters should check it out.
Definitely.
It's
when Star Wars is good, it's so good when it's good.
Definitely ranked in the high tier for Disney Star Wars for me.
Yeah, and you
can
even
put
drop
it above
the Disney.
Andor, but
you can drop the
hard.
Disney even. You can just say it's you know what I mean? Same with Andor. Yeah. Like where Andor succeeds, it's just some of the best Star Wars. I think this is up there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't look very scary. It's a pistol. More like a 6-foot turkey.
A turkey, huh?
No.
Okay. Try to imagine yourself in the Cretaceous period. You get your first look at this 6-foot turkey as you enter a clearing. He moves like a bird, lightly bobbing his head. And you keep still because you think that maybe his visual acuity is based on movement like T-Rex, and he'll lose you if you don't move. But no, not Velociraptor. You stare at him, and he just stares right back. And that's when the attack comes, not from the front, but from the side. From the other two raptors, you didn't even know were there. Because Velociraptor's a pack hunter, you see. He uses coordinated attack patterns, and he is out in force today. And he slashes at you with this 6-inch retractable claw, like a razor, on the middle toe. He doesn't bother to bite your jugular like a lion, say. No. He slashes at you here or here.
Well,
Or maybe across the belly, spilling your intestines. Point is, you are alive when they start to eat you.
Jurassic Park. I'm gonna save my other nerd shit for another episode,
Yeah.
and I just want to talk about Jurassic Park with you real quick because we didn't talk. We just watched it. We had a good time. We left.
Wait, how does it go? The Brontosaurus, the score.
Do yours again for me real quick.
Is it like do do do? No, I'm doing something different.
Dun 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 dun. Da, da, da,
Oh yeah.
da, dun dun. Dun dun da, 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 da. Yeah.
Good stuff.
That's just one thing. So the more I watched Jurassic Park a lot. I've seen a lot. It was the first movie I ever saw in theaters. I don't remember that, but like I've watched it, Billy. It was my favorite movie growing up. It's still one of my favorite movies to this day. And watching it recently again, I'm just like, it's one of those things where it's not the best movie ever made. It's one of the best movies ever made, but it's not the best. But it is perfect. It is perfect.
Oh yeah, it's
Top to
very,
bottom,
very solid.
Perfect movie.
There's nothing I can criticize about it.
Nothing. Like the acting's superb. The music is superb. The scene work is superb. If there's anything I can say is that we have finally started to sort of start reaching the point where some of the CGI doesn't always hold up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like it took till very recently for me to start feeling that way. They still look
like you can kind of
really
see it
fucking good
with the Brontosaurus and stuff, but like
the opening
all
scene
the
with the Brontosaurus, I was like, oh wow, that still looks good, but not as good as I remember.
All the animatronics and the puppets are never gonna age. Like
Perfect.
That's always gonna look good.
Yep, the dying Triceratops.
Yeah,
looks great.
It's great.
Great.
Do you think they kept that? That has to be somewhere.
Yes, no doubt in my mind, dude. Why would they get rid of that?
I don't know.
So that's the thing. The practical effects mixed with the special effects, especially a movie that came out in 1993. So good. I
also just love all the attention to detail that I missed when I was a kid watching these movies.
Oh, for sure.
Because
It's a movie that evolves with you.
I always viewed John Hammond as like a good guy because he's nice and he's like excited about dinosaurs, and I was excited about dinosaurs. But watching the movie as an adult, you see he's not a good guy. He's a billionaire that cuts corners,
right?
And that's why they make that very clear. That's why they're in this situation in the first place.
He's not the worst guy because he learns a lesson through the movie. Like he learns it, but it is his ambition that like almost gets his grandkids killed.
I think his character is worse in the books. I think he might actually die in the books. But yeah, like he says like the phrase "spared no expense" like half a dozen times in the first half hour of the movie, and you see how full of shit he is with all the problems that come up, because like Dennis Nedry is betraying them because he's underpaid and he's the only programmer that is in charge of this whole security system. And so like that's a huge weakness. And then like just like all the corners that they cut. Trying to think of other examples, but there's like a bunch of examples throughout the show. Like, I
mean, everything falls apart. You know what I mean? Like on a technological level, whether Dennis the fucking Menace is coming and wrecking shit up, like everything just falls apart.
Yeah, it's not well designed.
The hubris.
Yeah. Oh, like when the lawyer, like the first scene with the lawyer, he goes to like those miners and says like, oh, we need to do a safety inspection because the investors are pissed about this lawsuit from this worker that was killed. And they're like, oh, the Hammond hates inspections. They slow everything down. So, like it's not safety inspected. Like,
right.
They're just telling you it is.
And they find out the hard way.
Yeah. And like, no contingency plans. They're trapped on an island. So like they can't escape if like the storm comes.
He really only learns his lesson because his grandchildren are involved.
Yeah. Mortal peril.
And even through that, he's still like talking to Laura Dorn's character. I can't remember her name for some reason. I'm blanking on it.
Is it Sadler or?
That sounds right, Dr. Sadler, Dr.
Yeah.
something Sadler. They're talking like chaos has already started, and he's still like talking from a business perspective. And she's like, "Dude, you need to get fucking with it.
Yeah.
People
Like,
are
people are
dying,
dying.
and we got your grandchildren out there dying." Yeah, it's
That scene with when they're like all discussing, like they're in that break room and they're discussing the merits of the park and whether they're going to endorse the park and stuff. And
Yeah.
what's his face? Jeff Goldblum's character, Malcolm.
Ian Malcolm.
Ian Malcolm gives that whole speech on like you're playing God and
Yeah.
messing with powers that you don't understand and
Yeah.
are selling it to unsuspecting people. And like that's such a good scene.
Oh, it's
Like,
great.
It just breaks. Like
His
it's all,
character is so goofy. Like he almost seems kind of like he should be crazy. Like he should be like a
Yeah.
Bigfoot, believer. But he's
well,
right.
they kind of imply. Yeah, and they kind of imply that like, oh, like I brought the scientist and you brought a rock star. Like he doesn't really take him seriously, even though he's correct. Like he's right. Like
Yeah.
he's goofy, but he's right.
Yeah.
I also never understood his job, but I looked it up more, and he's like a mathematician basically, or chaos theorist. But his whole purpose there is to essentially assess risk, like
Yeah.
how likely is the system to break down, and he
Right.
came to the conclusion extremely likely, and he was correct.
And then it did. Yeah. Everything went wrong. And that's the thing. That's why I love the movie. So it's where pacing is done perfectly. The movie starts off, it sets you up, you know where you're heading. It hits you with spectacle first, kind of like
Yeah,
you see the dinosaurs, you see the magic of seeing dinosaurs, how the
That
dinosaurs
seems-
are made. It's all really interesting. You're set with all these scenes. The raptors eat the cow, and then things go bad. Like you almost get a whole movie before things start to go bad, and then things start to go bad, and it's a whole nother movie till the end.
I like that they don't show the dinosaurs right away, or like they don't show like the predator dinosaurs right away that are going to be the problems.
Yeah,
They like slowly drip feed you the dinosaurs until it becomes a dinosaur palooza.
yeah.
But that was like it's a very effective horror thriller movie. Like it's definitely a horror movie in certain parts.
Oh, for sure. Oh, dude, that's another thing with the acting is like those kids do so well being scared.
Are great.
Everybody who is scared, they are as scared as a human being should be being hunted by dinosaurs, and it's
Was it you?
great.
Was it you or was it Kaylee that said like, do you think they hired that girl just for the scream face that she makes? Because she makes that one.
Yeah,
she makes that
maybe
one
both of
face where
us.
it's like, oh.
Yeah, everything about her. That's what I was gonna say.
It was Kaylee. Yeah.
She was just so good at being scared. Like that actress was hired solely on how well she could be scared because she
Yeah.
was fucking totally scared.
Yeah,
Loved
they all let out their best screams.
And that's why that movie like withstands the test of time and it was as good as it was when it came out. It's like every piece of it is so well done. And like you said, you spoon fed all these animals, like dinosaurs, but you get like all the herbivore dinosaurs, yada yada yada. It goes for a little while.
Yeah.
You see the T-Rex, and then you see the fucking can't remember the name of the venom spitter motherfucker, but like there's all these things, and just when you think you've seen,
Dilophosaurus.
yes, so just when you think you've seen it all, then the Velociraptors show up, and it's just like, oh my
Yeah.
god, does this ever end? And
Which
meanwhile,
I do-
the human aspects are also just as scary. You know, the electric fence is turning on. Are we gonna get it in time? Is Billy gonna, or not Billy? Is Timmy gonna be okay? Zap, nope. It's so full of suspense, whether it's dinosaur related or not. It's so like
Yeah.
there's a car falling from a tree or a jeep, and they have to get out
yeah.
of the tree. That's right after
That's
the
a great
T-Rex
scene.
scene, and you're still like, ah. Edge your
Those
seat.
scenes are sometimes scarier than the dinosaur scenes, just like the regular suspense, like peril. Like it's
Sure.
just peril. Like,
Just
they're
peril.
Characters are
Kids
just in
like, I've
peril.
never climbed a tree in my life. Well, we got to get the fuck out of it, or this car is gonna kill us.
Yeah.
Oh, well done.
I would say another just quick scene that I just remembered with John Hammond that also subtly shows his character is the first, like his introduction scene, where one, he flies a helicopter
He's
over a
robbing
dig
them.
site. Yeah. he robbing them. He flies a helicopter over a dig site because like he cares more about like appearances than like actually thinking things through. Like he just wasn't even thinking that like they would be annoyed by that. or like the like he's not aware of the consequences of his actions pretty much. And then like they're in the kitchen and he's like trying to open a bottle of champagne and they're trying to help him. And he's like, oh, no, don't worry. Like, I know my way around the kitchen. And like, he's like fumbling around. Like, he clearly doesn't know his way around the kitchen.
He's never been there before.
He's never been there before. And then like he pops the champagne and like it goes everywhere because he didn't know how to pop it correctly. Like, it just shows like his hubris where like he's very confident and very cheery, but also does not know what he's doing and does not know that he doesn't know what he's doing. Like he's very overconfident, and it's hubris, like you said. It's they spoon feed a lot of that about him throughout a good chunk of the movie before he finally is like, we need to shut this shit down. Yep. And like I was gonna say, the core of the movie with Dr. Grant and the kids, it's like the best. I mean, those are my favorite scenes to watch, is when it's with them. Oh yeah, definitely. They're the main. They're with the dinosaurs. They're with the, everything they're doing. You know that something crazy is gonna happen, because it does. It continuously. They fucking finally get to eat, and it's like, oh, there's raptors in here. Some bitch. Like, fuck me. It's something. And then the T-Rex, which is like the biggest threat throughout the movie, at least in the back of your head, you're like, oh, there's also a T-Rex. It's just has fucked up a lot of shit. Oh, he's the hero. He saves the day, actually. And it's perfect. She saves the day. You're right. She saves the day. Well, maybe she could have evolved. They said there's a way their sex could change. She's canonically known as Rexy. That's her name. Rexy. Yeah. Well, she's a good girl, because she comes and just saves the day. But here's the thing: she only saves the day because she kills the raptors and they get out. She would have ate them nonetheless, and I like that. I like that. Yeah, I do like that. Besides with the raptors, where it shows like they kind of have a bit of a higher intelligence, it does make it clear that like these are just animals. Like they are animals living in their environment. And Shota, you should Shota, Shota. Yeah, so many. My favorite character. He didn't unnecessary death. He's one of the most undeserving to go out, because he the whole time was like, he the whole time was like, this shit's fucked. I'm just trying to do my best here as chief of security, and to do that would be to shut down the park. That's something that changes, though. As a kid, you're like, this guy's trying to kill dinosaurs. I don't like this guy. As an adult, I'm like, nope, he's right, and he dies. And that's what makes it better. Is like a lot of characters that don't really deserve death die. Like Samuel Jackson's character just off screen dies. He didn't deserve to die. Yeah. Was that one of his first roles? I'd say it's one of his earlier roles. I don't know if it's one of his first, but he definitely wasn't as big. Yeah, when he was cast in that. Yeah, probably one of his first big ones, but definitely one of his tamest roles. He doesn't say motherfucker at all, barely. Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think. I think Pulp Fiction came out in the 80s. I could be wrong, but I'm almost certain that's an 80s. I think it's the 90s. Let me double check. I think Pulp Fiction's the 90s. I don't know for sure. 1994. Oh, wow. Okay, that feels like an older movie than Jurassic Park. So that came out a year after Jurassic Park. I don't know. Certainly one of his first ones. Which Pulp Fiction was like his big breakout role. Yeah. So I really thought that movie was older. What do you know? Yeah. God, it's still one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time. And nothing's changed about that. Watching it now again, I'm just like, nope, this is still, it's a perfect horror movie. It's when, that's what I mean. When movies do things right, it's when they take what the thing is and they build a movie around, like, the thing that Star Wars is, they're like, it's Star Wars. How do we build a movie with Star Wars? Instead of being like, here's a good story, let's put Star Wars in it. They were like, here's a good story, let's put dinosaurs in it. Yeah. And it's perfect. They cover all the holes too. They're just like, they look like this instead of like birds because we used amphibian DNA. That's why they look like this. Makes sense to me. Sure. And they didn't really know that back when that movie came out. They were just like, cover our bases just in case. Now, I was surprised they even mentioned the feathers. Like at the very first scene with Dr. Grant, he mentions feathers and how they're closely related to birds than lizards. And that wasn't even a super agreed upon thing back then. Like, I think that was still a theory back. That it's since been confirmed. That they have feathers. Were like, cover the bases just in case, and they did. Yeah. Same thing with like the setup of like, you made all these dinosaurs women. What if
something happens, and then they like scientifically are like, oh yeah, there's a type of frog that can change its sex in this very environment, and
Yep.
perhaps the dinosaurs are that, and that's what happens. Playing
Yeah,
God.
because they use that DNA, that frog's DNA, to fill in some of the gaps.
And
So
honestly,
they are, yeah,
for all those scientists that work there, they should have known that. You
Yeah.
tell me Ian Malcolm and fucking Alan Grant knew it, and they didn't?
they're
Come
all
on.
blinded to see whether
Yeah.
or not they could, to wonder whether or not they should.
Well, dude, I know, I know that the it's not so prominent in the first Jurassic Park, and I haven't watched any of the new ones except for original Jurassic World. But I know that they've turned like, can't remember the name of the scientist, the Asian one that it's like the head scientist in Jurassic Park. Like they've turned him into like a villain in the later
Yeah.
movies. So it's just
Yeah,
like,
they assassinate his character.
oh, for
He's
sure.
just like a regular guy in this one.
He's just a doctor that works at Jurassic Park. That's part of this like beauty of
Yeah,
making.
he's
life.
in that one scene.
They turn him into something like crazy by the Jurassic World movies, but
Yeah.
whatever, I guess.
Now I do
But he
have to
lives.
say, as a dinosaur, like you mentioned that they covered their bases with why the dinosaurs look different than how they actually would have looked. Paleontologists both love and hate this movie because, well, one, it got a lot of people
good to be
interested in dinosaurs, but it also kind of cemented within the cultural zeitgeist that like that's what dinosaurs look like to like a general audience.
Yeah.
Because most people don't catch the line that
It's hard
like,
to go
oh,
back
it's-
now.
Yeah, that like that will forever be within the public psyche of what dinosaurs look like.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, like velociraptors didn't look like that. Like actual velociraptors were like
Smaller.
they were closer to the size of like turkeys than like a large dog, like they were in the. They're even bigger than dogs in that.
Yeah, they're yeah. But once that's another thing they cover their tracks with. They're like, well, they are genetically modified. It's like a McDonald's fucking burger compared. You know what I mean? Like it's just they just took the basic thing and they modified it.
I'm still pissed at Jurassic World that they took such a fun, goofy concept of like dinosaurs in war and then didn't do anything with it.
I've only ever seen the first Jurassic World movie, and I think that's why I'm like I like the first. Like Jurassic World to me is the perfect sequel to Jurassic Park. I've never seen the second or third one, and I haven't heard.
I just
good
thought if
things,
you're gonna
and-
do something goofy with like having like the raptors on your side this time and like being able to control them, do something more with that. Like I don't know. I just wanted more dinosaur fights. I wanted more silliness.
Have you
like,
seen
just
the
go-
other? Have you seen the two?
I've
and
seen
three?
this. I've seen the second one. I haven't seen the last
The
one.
third one.
The second one was not good. I did not.
I've seen
it.
like parts of the second one because it was on at the school that I worked at, and I just would see like scenes, but I've never sat down and watched it. And I never saw the third one. And there's apparently another one coming out this summer, and I'm just like,
they just make another bad genetic dinosaur freak in the second one that they have to kill again.
yeah, that's too like,
Yeah, it's like do something cool. Like
You
do
did
something
that.
more with
That
like,
was
the
cool in the
raptors.
first-
Yeah.
yeah.
Like I wanted more of the raptor stuff and like I don't know, maybe make one of the kids learn how to train a raptor or bond with a raptor or something.
Yeah. Hey, dude, Jurassic movie sequels are never perfect. Like, I like
The one-
Jurassic Park. I like the Lost World Jurassic Park. I like the second Jurassic Park. It's not as good as the first one, but it's not too bad. Jurassic Park 3 is not good. And
I would say-
Jurassic World to me is a perfect... Like, if there is no second Jurassic Park movie, Jurassic World's a great follow-up.
I would say if you want more Jurassic Park, you should check out
The
Camp
anime.
Cretaceous.
Yeah, the cartoon.
Yeah, where it's for kids. Like but like people do die. Like it is violent.
Yeah.
And I do like in that one, like one of the main kids is like he has anxiety and he's like a big scaredy cat, but he ends up getting separated from the group
Hmm.
and like meets this baby dinosaur. It's like a baby ankylosaurus, and like it imprints on him, and then like it grows up and finds him and becomes like his companion, and they like fight other dinosaurs together.
The
It's cool shit.
Godzilla effect.
Yeah.
Like what they did with the Godzilla animated series that came out after that American Godzilla movie. I like that.
Oh, did they have a baby Godzilla that fought for them?
They had a baby Godzilla that hatched and met Nick Goplakvis, whatever the fuck his name is from that movie, and imprinted on him, and so it fought for him.
That's awesome.
It's also pretty good though. Like that's a pretty good animated series. It's way better.
I love
than
shit
the
like
movie.
that.
Yeah,
I know it's campy and silly, but I love it.
dude, it worked for that animated series. 'cause
Speaks
it was
to the
just
young
like,
speaks to the young boy in me.
Yeah.
I just want to see dinosaurs as your friends that fight for you.
I'm sure if you looked online, you could find that.
That's why I love.
Godzilla series.
That's why I
Like,
love
it's
Ark Survival
not
so
bad.
much.
Yeah,
That's all Ark Survival is getting dinosaur friends to fight for you.
Maybe I've seen like when I worked at that school I worked at, I saw like bits and pieces of that camp, whatever series.
It's
but,
it's pretty easy to watch through. Like it's
I feel
like
like
half-hour episodes.
it's a very Avatar: Last Airbender, where like the first season of it's still pretty kiddish, but then by the next, like once it gets into it a bit, it's like way more serious than you thought it was ever gonna get, kind of thing. Yeah, check it out. I mean, that's Jurassic Park in a nutshell. Like as a kid, it's just a movie about dinosaurs. As you get older, it becomes a little more different, and then even as you get older, you're like, this movie just keeps changing. And I'm glad we started the year off watching just a fantastic movie, because it's probably been a couple
One of the
years
best
since
movies
I've sat
ever
and watched
made.
it. It's a perfect movie, top to bottom. It ends
It's one of
where
those
it needs
movies
to
that
end.
I'll always rewatch after a little bit of me not watching it. Like I always
Yeah.
get swinging back around to it.
I'm always happy to have it on, and I'm so delighted that January 1st, 2025, we watched that epic piece of just great cinema. So
Yep.
Thank you for entertaining me with that, and thank you for discussing it with me here tonight about a week later, because I had such a good time watching it.
Of course, I never pass up an opportunity to watch Jurassic Park. Jurassic World, maybe I would, but
Yeah. No.
I didn't think the first Jurassic World was bad. But
I like Jurassic World a lot. I wouldn't set a time, but like Jurassic World's like, if it's on, I'll watch it now.
it was just the second movie was so bad it brought down the first movie to me.
That's fair. I can understand that. And I haven't watched it, and I don't know if I ever will. I think I might go with this next reboot that's coming out this summer, and just like maybe all the
Jonathan-
firsts are really
Jonathan
good.
Bailey,
It's got
Fierro,
with Black Widows in it too.
Yeah.
Scarlett Johansson. So
Scarlett Johansson.
you know, I think I'll give all the firsts a solid effort, and hopefully they're
Yeah.
always good.
Give it the old college try.
Give it the old college try. That's what I'm known for. So yeah, I mean, that's all I like I said, I had something I was going to talk about. I think I'm going to save it, which I think is a good thing, because it's a series. It's a comic series that I'm reading, and the way the latest issue wrapped up, I was like, what a cliffhanger. So maybe it's for the best, and I'll get back to it another time. This was an action-packed episode, because this is one of our longer episodes for sure.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, really good. Definitely talked about enough. Sorry I've been so negative, but I feel like the positives that you brought, I was very positive about. So
It was a good
show that
balance
I'm always
out. Yeah.
negative. I'm just telling you, I was let by those things that
And
I
I
was
got
negative
some
about. I was
other.
let down.
I got some other new nerd shit to talk about, but I was gonna save those as well.
We'll save it. You know,
Yeah.
It's a bi-weekly series, man. It's good to have stuff in the bank if you need to.
That's right.
That's my thing. Like, I started so many video games, but I didn't get far enough in them to talk about them. So I was just like, what can I bank, or what can I use that I've been dabbling in that I haven't talked about? And let's go with that. And it just lined up pretty well. But yeah, so that's the episode. That's Nerd Shit in the Dark this time around. Our first one of 2025. Thank you for all the shitters and all the people that check us
Yes,
out. And
thank you. I'm very happy to be. I've missed you all.
yeah,
Been excited to get back into it.
December we only had one episode because I was also like just too busy to do anything.
Even this episode was almost a near miss with the technical difficulties
Almost.
because we discovered that the laptop I got to replace my other laptop doesn't have a USB port, so I can't plug the Focusrite into it to record.
I'm gonna get you a USB-C to USB plug-in
Yeah.
thing so we can work around that because
Kaylee's laptop works. I just feel bad taking it from her.
fair.
That's what I'm recording it on right now. So
We'll get you straightened out. It's all a work in progress, but it's going pretty well. And for the first one of the year, I think we came in pretty strong, especially with a decently long episode of stuff that we were pretty passionate about. Which
it's going
is
to be
what it's
2.5
all about.
hours.
Easily, even when I'm done editing, for sure. There's things to look forward with the show still. Our High School Musical, that got put off. But I think in the next
Big
2 or 3
surprise.
episodes, we will get to that. We got a Fight Club episode lined up. I think I'm going to talk to Ernie about that.
Ernie's
pretty
very
soon here.
excited for the Fight Club episode.
I think we might be able to get that one out by February.
Has Ernie been on the pod yet?
No, he hasn't. He has not officially been on. But but I'm also working on the Rebel Yum. We've got an episode recorded. We're going to try to record another episode, and I'm editing them. So look out for that. It's our whole Star Wars, but also nerd-themed cooking show. And Ernie's in that.
I will say, whenever you say Rebel Yum, I just picture Little Yum as like a Star Wars rebel.
Right. It's hard not to see somebody's name once you start calling them something. But that's a work in progress. I'm editing. I'm having fun with that, and that will be coming out, at least the first episode, pretty soon. So look out for that, and follow, tell your friends, like, subscribe. We love you, shitters. Thank you.
I love you.
Brayden definitely loves you. We make sure to let them know that as well as we can, and I love you too. And thank you for listening. This has been a great time.
Thank you,
Brayden. Let's sign these people off like we do. Good night.
Good night. Sleep tight.
And don't let the
shit bugs
bite.
Bite.
That's it. That'll do it. Later,
there you go. See ya.